Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I'm your host, Michael Hansen, and I do all kinds of spectacular things holding microphones in my hand because I'm a ring announcer and MMA cage announcer. And I'm joined this week for and new MMA show by my two co-hosts, my two buds who bring MMA punditry to new heights. Introducing to you first, from New York, he's wearing the gray hoodie. He is Priaulx. Hello.
I love that I always get a wearing.
I don't know why.
I'm the only person on this show who people who listen to the audio know what that person is wearing.
That's true.
You guys, they're like, the fuck? I wonder what he looks like. I'm doing good. Did you ask me that question? I'm not sure.
No, I just said hello. But how are you?
I'm swell. What's up to the people? I actually want to give a quick shout out to all of you, to our listeners. We were up around 2,700 views last I looked for our episode that dropped on Thursday on YouTube, which is a new high for us. Maybe not all time for a week. I'm not sure if I looked back, but in terms of like actually in the span before the next show, that's definitely a new high for us. So that feels awesome. Appreciate all you guys. We try here. We put in the work. We try to catch up on the fights in between our actual jobs. We try to get, some facts and ideas together. We take the time to try to give you guys a good detailed show here. So we appreciate it. I hope anyone who is a new listener or viewer from the past week who's listening now sticks with us and grows with us as we continue the ride here.
Yeah, man. Exciting. It's crazy sometimes to just look down at that number and kind of add up the views. It's like, holy shit, there's some people tuning in here.
Yeah, man.
To hear us three idiots.
Feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good. It feels very, what's the word? Validating? Vindicating? Validating. Yes. And, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not like a bajillion people, but if like 2,000 people were in an audience listening to us, that'd be like, holy fuck.
I mean, when we started, if you asked me, will we definitely have a week where 2,000 people listen to the show? I'm not sure I would have bet on yes. I had faith, but if I had to bet my life that we would do that, I don't know that I would have.
It'll feel even more surreal when we get to the next level, I guess, of like when each clip routinely gets 2,000 views itself.
Need that. The single clip of Grasso Shevchenko going over 1K was pretty cool to see.
Even in the very beginning, sorry, Omar, I'll get you in here in a second. Even in the beginning, when a video would get like 40 or like 50 views, I'd be like, shit, like 50 people clicked on this. Like 50 people. That's like that's so silly. Okay.
Working our way, man.
Working our way.
Ups and downs, but it's a steady up.
Yeah.
Despite the weekly ups and downs.
And I'm working my way through these introductions. Introducing now, if you didn't know, he is residing in the Sunshine State of Florida. And just so everyone knows, he's also wearing a black T-shirt. He is Omar, the Nicaraguan Nightmare Artola. What's up, man?
What's going on? Wearing a UFC Atlantic City T-shirt in honor of the time I forgot that I sat behind Cubs family to watch him fight.
The time that me and Omar were in the same event and didn't see each other.
That's stupid.
Twice. That happened apparently in Boston, too, for the McGregor fight.
We didn't know each other in that one. AC, we knew we were each there, and we just didn't see each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was a huge arena. No, not so much. It was an intimate ballroom.
Not the Atlantic City one.
All right, boys.
But yeah, man, things are good. Things are all good over here.
Quick update for me. I booked a boxing event in my town here, in my hometown here.
Sweet.
Promotion called Rough House Boxing. Apparently a guy who had promoted some years ago, kind of took a break, had a family. Now he's getting back into it. It was a kind of, I won't go into the whole story, but kind of serendipitous how I got linked up with him. And It'll be in about a month. So my next kid will be like 2 weeks old, but it's going to be a few minutes away from my house. So it'll be nice to stay busy, jump out and make a few bucks on a microphone. So that'll be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Well, gentlemen, we have some exciting things to get to on this evening's edition of And New MMA Show. Quick rundown of the show, folks. We're going to talk about all the fights from UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Dvalishvili from this past weekend. We're going to throw some fights into our lightning round. We're going to find out who rose and fell on the heels of this fight night in Mark's very own rankings system, the Priaulx Rankings. We're also going to recap fights from Bellator 292, Nurmagomedov versus Henderson. We're going to recap some of those fights, and then we're going to go inside the MMA sphere with Omar, find out what's going on in the world of MMA outside of the cage, and then we're going to look ahead to this weekend's sneaky, awesome pay-per-view, UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. And then we might end with a little bit of trivia. But before we get to any fight talk, gentlemen, let us first thank our audience, our growing audience. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, thank you so much. If you've watched a few of our clips and videos and have liked what you've been seeing and listening to, please consider subscribing to our channel so that you never miss a video. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, and hit all the things. But our favorite form of engaging with you guys is down in the comments. If you like any of our takes, let us know. If you disagree with any of our takes, we want to hear your takes down in the comments below. Keep it classy. If you want audio only, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, find us on social media. You can find us at @andnew_MMA show everywhere. That being said, let's get into this. This week, the name on the marquee has got to be Merab Dvalishvili, who this past weekend at UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Dvalishvili, defeated Petr Yan by a unanimous decision. It was a shutout on the scorecards, 50-45s across the board. Mark, let me bring you in first. What was your reaction to Merab winning impressively over the dynamite kickboxer in Petr Yan?
That Merab, who fought on Saturday night, and maybe just Merab, period, all the time, is the fighter with the greatest cardio and highest motor I have ever seen in the history of MMA. That was unbelievable. And Petr Yan did well to, wrestle defensively. He stuffed a ton of takedowns, 30-something takedowns. If I told you he was going to do that before the fight, you would have been like, well, I guess this is going to go well for Petr Yan. He got up a ton of times. He snuck in elbows on breaks or landed a nice body kick or check hook, and none of it mattered because you can't win a fight when you have to react the entire fight, and that's what Jan had to do. He could never for a second think about working his own game because he was reacting for 99.9% of that fight. Merab is in your face like we have rarely seen in this sport. And he's not any kind of special striker, but he doesn't have to be because he is shooting for so many takedowns and grabbing for so many legs that you're so concerned with it that he can land clean on you. And then as soon as you switch gears finally and you say, all right, shit, I can't keep letting this guy hit me, then he's in on your hips. So for a guy to have a motor like Merab does is almost a cheat code, honestly. It's just so hard to combat. And honestly, the guy who could have maybe done it the best is Jose Aldo. And I hate that stupid fight that happened, and I wish we could see it again, not at elevation. But I digress.
Yes.
Back to this performance. The man had 49 takedown attempts. Landed only 11, but 49 takedown attempts and 147 significant strikes. Who even has the energy to attempt those numbers? So for someone to just run Petr Yan off the tracks the way Merab did in that fight is not something I ever thought I would see, and I have come away very impressed by Merab.
Omar, let's bring you in here. Give us your reaction of the wrestling barrage that Merab threw at Petr Yan.
It makes Colby Covington look very, very lazy.
somehow brings it back to Colby.
I mean, let's be real. As much as I don't like Colby, that dude has one of the best cardios in the game.
Yeah, man, of course.
He's got almost an infinite motor, but he does slow down. I don't really know if Merab slowed down. That man kept a consistent pace for 5 rounds.
25
and
minutes.
It really got to a point where he didn't even give a shit about the takedowns. It didn't really have anything to do with the takedowns. It had to do with Petr Yan worrying about the takedowns. So Merab would grab his leg, just touch it real quick, mess with him. Hey, here I go. Oh, no, uppercut. Oh, no, right hand. And that was pretty much the course of the fight. It got to the point where by the end of the fight, Petr Yan was like a pirate. He was just one eye, just all kinds of fucked up. I've never seen anything like that in my life. We've seen Usman, we've seen GSP, we've seen a lot of guys that rely on the takedown to find a path to victory. Merab, it just seemed like Merab was fucking with him for 5 rounds. Just outpaced him and just was like, either I'm going for a takedown or I'm going to punch you in the face. And you're not going to have the energy or the speed to stop both. You can stop one, but I'm going to pop you with the other, or I'm going to take you down. It was a wild performance, man. And I didn't really think that. I figured Yan would find some way, right? Those takedowns weren't the cleanest, right? There are opportunities there to throw a knee or an uppercut or something like that, but he was overwhelmed, and you could see it, man. I don't think Petr Yan has ever been put in that kind of position in his life. I'm sure he trains very hard, but I don't think anybody's ever done that to him.
Oh, I'm sure he trains crazy hard.
Yeah.
It's just motor. I heard the basketball player J.J. Redick say this once. He was like, you can't teach motor. Like, it's kind of like a genetic thing almost, according to him. I believe
it's also being exposed to different looks. It's guys are less panicky when they've seen something before, when they've thought about, because a lot of times you think about how you would counter it, what you would do, and whatever else, and a lot of times you train those things, but you can't, like you said, you can't train motor, you can't replicate motor.
You train cardio, but there's motor. Like a motor is just something different. It's like that gear. It's almost like a mindset more than it is actual like cardiovascular
100%.
health.
And there's no resets for Merab. Like Yan loves to analyze in there, to analyze space and analyze how he wants to re-engage and step back in and make you move. When there is no breather reset time, you kind of lose the ability to do that.
If you're a striker, you hate that fight. I mean, that fight is your fucking nightmare. That's the shit that keeps you up at night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it also, to me, is somewhat reminiscent of, or it made me think of Cain Velasquez and JDS, their second and third fights of what JDS, or rather what Cain did to JDS. Like, it was absolutely relentless to the point where it was kind of hard to watch.
I will say, by the end of the 5th round, Cain Velasquez looked like he was done. Like, I did my job. I'm done. Merab finished this fight and was like, "We're done."
Yeah,
I thought we were at round 1. I thought we could do another 5.
He looked like he could have kept going.
It's crazy.
I've
never seen anything like it.
I'm going to go
and
run.
It was just like, it was almost like he just won by overwhelmingness. Like, I don't know, maybe you guys felt different. I really didn't think Yan looked all that bad.
I'm with you.
It was almost just like, he never got a chance to try. Like, he just
didn't let him in.
Like, you wanted to be like, Merab, let Yan have a turn. And it just...
Yeah. He
totally
looked
agree.
confused. He looked confused. And I get it. I was confused watching. I can only imagine what that must have been like in front of you. Yeah. With a dude shooting on your leg, getting popped in the face. You know what I mean? Still trying to defend the takedown and then getting popped in the face again. That shit's got to be annoying, let alone eventually painful.
Yeah. Yeah, what an apt nickname the Machine has turned out to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where these guys go from here. Let's talk about bantamweight. Let's start with the winner, Mark. Give me a sense of where you would go next with Merab. Were you the UFC matchmaker?
I mean, it's very tricky, as we know. Obviously, Merab does not want to fight his boy, Aljo, which I respect. Dana White has already come out and tried to say that that might be the wrong choice, and you know what can happen. when you turn
So
down
real
a title
quick-
fight and yada yada.
Real quick, not to interrupt, but I was listening to Ariel Hawani's show today. So apparently this is now the second time that he's had this conversation with Merab about fighting Aljo. And they got to a point where they didn't want to give Merab any top 5 contender fight because if he wins anybody, Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen, Peter Yan, he wasn't going to fight Aljo. So what was the point? And so it turns out Peter Yan was the one who pushed for this fight. That's the only reason that this fight actually came together. Wow. And now they are stuck in a situation where now you got the number 1 guy essentially and the champion not wanting to fight each other.
See, I don't think it's so big of an issue because they have publicly talked about how Aljo plans to take 2 more fights and then go up to featherweight. So unless he's going to rescind that plan, obviously at that point it's an issue. But even if first of all, if he loses to Henry, then everything is open right away. If he beats Henry and then loses the next fight, it's open. Or even if you got to wait 2 more Aljo fights, that means Merab only has to fight 1 more in the meantime. So we could certainly find a contender for him to fight. Like, for example, this is what I was just going to say. First off, I would be stunned if the UFC let him fight Sean O'Malley. I don't think there's a chance in hell that the UFC books that fight. Yeah, because I think they want Sean O'Malley in a title fight. And it sounds like he, prior to this, had been told he was going to get the winner of Henry and Aljo. I don't know if that still stands, but either way, I don't think they ever put him across the cage from Merab, at least not until he's champ. But what that leaves, as much as I hate it, is that you still have Chito Vera over there. And if he ends up beating Corey Sandhagen, he's not going to be able to fight for the title because you already told Sean O'Malley that he's getting the next one. So there is a guy for Merab to fight. Like, if Aljo wins and he's going to fight O'Malley, Merab can fight Chito. It works out perfectly fine. So I don't really know why Dana's being so dramatic about it. It sucks for Chito. Like, that would be a long, long road to the top to have Merab added to the end of it. If it's Corey that wins that fight and has to fight Merab, it would at least feel a little more fair. But, you know, I think there's options. I even think that if this shakes out weird in some way and you can't make Merab against the winner of that fight, I think if Ricky Simone beats Song Yadong, you could fucking run that fight back and settle that, because that's been years of kind of unsettledness since their first fight, and I even think that could be a decent filler.
It was the last time he lost was to Ricky Simone.
Yeah.
His first 2 fights, this is Merab. He lost his first 2 fights in the UFC, and he's won every fight since.
Who was the first one? I can't even think.
Frankie Sands.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Sands.
I remember looking at
Split
that
decision
last
loss to Frankie Sands.
Science,
And then Ricky Simone got a guillotine on Merab. And he has been
that was in
He-
Atlantic City when me and Omar were there.
He didn't win by guillotine though. That went to decision.
it says technical submission, so he choked him out.
Yeah.
What?
It was
Fight of the night.
Omar, we were there. It was on the Atlantic City card. It was
No,
Merab was winning the whole fight, and then Ricky Simone got him in a guillotine late.
No,
He
I remember.
never tapped. It looked like Merab made the bell,
It did,
Right.
yes.
and then as soon as he came off, there was like a 1 Mississippi where he behaved as if he was out, and then he kind of jumped right up.
Right.
And everyone was like, wait, what just happened? Was he out, or was he just like laying there, and they ruled that he was out?
Yeah.
I don't remember them ruling it as him out. I remember all of that. I don't remember them ruling it as he was out. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
The official
that
time.
Sucks.
I'm looking at it right here. The
That's
official
why
time.
I'm saying they've kind of debated the true winner of that fight ever since. Like, they've talked about it. So
I think that's the right call.
Well, Merab said he
I
doesn't
think-
want to. He
I
doesn't
think
want
he
to
said
fight
he
Ricky
wasn't out.
Simone. He doesn't want to fight Ricky Simone. He said he already beat Ricky Simone.
So that's what I'm saying. It's
and then
a
he won't fight him.
long-standing debate. He
said,
he
"I
won't
just-
fight him? Wow.
I just beat Jose Aldo. I beat Peter Yan. Why do I need? Why Ricky
That's so
Simone?
silly. The bell rings and you're not able to continue because you were in a choke.
Well, he says he wasn't out. That's what I'm
I-
saying. He
Right,
has
but
always
he
said
said
he
he
was
was.
not out.
Yeah, I've watched it back a couple times, and I didn't think he was out. I could see why. It just looked like a moment where he was like, "Fuck, I'm glad this is over."
It's
Not,
always
I'm
been
out.
tough. It's a weird one. It could go either way.
I did
Like,
not
we'll
know they
never
ruled
know,
it
I
like
feel.
that. That sucks.
So Merab claims that he thinks he held on enough and he didn't fully go out. That
I think he says that he was fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to say that.
Like, I think he contends that he was not close to going out.
Okay.
That he just...
Oh, I
bell
mean, well,
rang
he's
and
full
he
of
was
shit
kinda
there. He looked like a grape when he got up.
A grape? Did you say
Dude,
a grape?
his head was turning purple.
Oh, I see. Listen, let's move on here. And let's talk about Petr Yan. A guy who is I'm a high on Petr Yan, man. And I still am. I'm not off the train yet. But my man has lost, 4 of his last 5 in the UFC?
Well, one was by DQ, but
one was
3
by
losses
DQ. That was the
real,
first thing that kind of set this whole thing in motion here for him. He's not a happy man lately. Omar, let me start with you. If he doesn't retire, because after the last loss, he kind of threatened retirement. He kind of needed some time to clear his head.
He sent a tweet already, or an Instagram post, I forget, that kind of alluded to that he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He shouldn't. If you were the matchmaker, Omar, what would you want to do with Yan next?
With Petr Yan. Right at the very top of the division. Always at the very top of the division, but like, what can you do at this point? You kind of got to give him somebody else, and he hasn't fought everybody in the division at this point. He's fought in a lot of guys. A lot of it, he came off of the Uriah Faber win. He's got a lot of other sort of mid-esque people on his early UFC career. But he's got the Jimmy Rivera's, the Dotsons, the Aldo, and he kind of fucked Aldo up a little bit. So there is that. But where does he go right now? So I don't know how many of these guys have things lined up, because it seems like everybody has something lined up in this division right now. But it might be worth it to see what perhaps the loser of the Marlon Vera-Corey Sandhagen fight. That would probably be my guess. But I think Corey Sandhagen already fought him, so you would kind of hope that it would be Chito Vera, but does Chito Vera really need to fight him if he wins? Or Chito Vera would need to lose
Certainly not.
in order for that to work. Yeah.
I'll throw 2 ideas at you. And I kind of love both. Keep in mind, the dude has lost 3 in a row. So
yeah,
I'm taking a slight step back from that top batch. I think him and Dominic Cruz would be awesome. Oh. And I could see Cruz take it.
Oh, my God.
I'm not saying take the fight. I'm saying I'm not saying win the fight. I'm saying I could see Cruz accept the fight.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you were so offended. Or he could be the dude who welcomes Davison Figueiredo.
Oh, I love that. I love that
one.
so much.
I like that one better.
That's my preference. I think that one is sexy. That's why I say
I like that one better. That's a good one.
We've always kind of tossed around names for Figueiredo, and I feel like we never hit on one where we were all like, ooh, and I feel like Jan is in that spot right now where it makes a lot of sense.
Damn, but what do you do if they both lose? Or if either one of them loses? I mean, that's bad for either one of them at that point, because Davidson's kind of coming off of those championship losses. He didn't look great in his last 2. I don't know.
Hey, man.
Hey.
It's swim with the sharks.
Swim with the sharks, baby.
Goddamn. All right, well, if he dies, he dies. All right, cool.
Dude, I think that...
Speaking of if he dies, we transition into... Drago.
Yeah, if it's true, Jesus. Yeah, let's move this this thing down the line here. Congrats to Merab, man. Great win, biggest win of his career, maybe the best he's looked ever.
Yeah.
He's like, oh God, he's like Clay Guida on steroids. Is that insulting?
Clay Guida. Clay Guida might not even have that cardio. I just think he's just on autopilot. He just goes.
Okay. All right. In the co-main event of this UFC fight night, in the heavyweight division, Alexander Volkov defeated Alexander Romanov by TKO at 2 minutes and 16 seconds of the very first round. Omar, let me start with you here. Give us your take on the techniques that Volkov threw at Romanov, ultimately getting him out of there in the first round.
there was something about this fight that made me feel like Volkov felt disrespected. He seemed very violent. He seemed very aggressive in the fight. And I don't know what it was, but he had this air of, this man doesn't belong in here with me. And he kind of beat the shit out of Romanov. It was kind of crazy. I think this was Mark's worst nightmare when it came to Romanov. And it was a fantastic... I mean, I haven't seen Volkov look better in quite some time. So he took full advantage of the opportunity to beat the hell out of somebody.
The second that I caught a glimpse of Alexander Romanov, I knew that I had fucked up this pick. That dude who came out on Saturday looked like he ate Alexander Romanov. I don't know what the fuck that was. Apparently his coach moved to Russia and he had to find a new team.
He could run.
Holy
he could
hell.
run.
Like, if this physique has any relation to that team, I think it's time to find a new team. But he looked awful. Like a literal shadow of himself. I mean, Volkov stuffed his early takedown attempts easily. I think he smelled blood in the water right after he stuffed them, just from the way Romanov was moving. And he was like, oh, all right, I'm going to take this dude out right now. And he did. He turned it up. He could tell Romanov wasn't reacting well to the first couple shots, and he put him out. So props to Alexander Volkov. He needed that win to stay in the mix, and he got it. And they were kind of trying to use him as almost a stepping stone for an up-and-comer there. And he turned him back in statement fashion. But to me, the story of that fight is the ghost of Alexander Romanov that showed up. I mean, this is a dude who walked through 4 guys in the UFC looking about as dominant as a heavyweight can look. Just absolutely, I can't think of the fucking word I was trying to say. My mind is blanking. But absolutely crushing guys. And then he dropped a 10-8 on Marcin Tybura in his last fight in round 1. And then he guessed, and he blew that fight. And then he showed up here looking like he didn't even want to be here. So I don't know what has happened between drubbing is the word I wanted to say before. Between drubbing Marcin Tybura in round 1 and this fight. But either we're going to get a big Alexander Romanov redemption story or his story might be over as quickly as it started.
Yeah. Yeah. When he came out, I too was like, something's different. My man missed some cardio. I'm not trying to be mean, but he looked very heavy. He looked like he had a lot of bad weight on his body. And it's like, hey, some guys do well when they have a lot of body fat. You don't need a six-pack to get to a high level in fighting sports. And there are a number of guys that I could point to make that point. But
that excuse is garbage, though, about his coach. Like, I get it. I get that.
You're a pro, though.
But,
You're
like,
a pro.
you can, as far as...
He didn't say that.
Oh, no?
He didn't make the excuse.
Oh, I thought that's something he said.
No,
Okay.
I just said on the broadcast they said that his coach moved to Russia and he had to find a new team.
Okay.
So I was just pointing it out.
I mean, Homeboy could have definitely went for the runs and done the work to at least get to some sort of fighting shape that he was in. It's not like this is the way he's been fighting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No. But sorry, Mike, what were you saying?
I don't know. It's okay. It's gone. Let it go. It's in the stream. Volkov, Mark, talk about where Volkov is going to go from here.
Honestly, I don't think there's an obvious choice. I think heavyweight is kind of a little crowded. I think you got to see how some things shake out. I don't hate if you asked him if he wanted to run him back with Derek Lewis, which he may take since that's a loss. I'm sure he'd like to get back. You could do him in Ty. You could do him in Spivak, but they may end up even fighting each other, those two. So I don't think there's a clear choice for Volkov at the moment until maybe a couple more fights play themselves out.
Omar, any other ideas for Volkov?
I mean, not really. I mean, everything that Mark said is kind of true. You know, there's not a ton of movement right now with the heavyweight division going back down to where Volkov is. A lot of these fights now we're looking at John Jones and trying to figure out who we're going to throw at John Jones and what he does. And I just don't think Volkov is there yet. I don't really move him up from beating Romanov. So any one of those choices would be fine. The Spivaks, the Tuivasas, the Lewises.
Staying with you, Omar, what about Romanov? What do you think happens with him next? Off a performance like this, how far
Hopefully
down?
he runs.
I was gonna say, I think he needs to figure his shit out. If we're being
Yeah.
wholly honest, he definitely needs to figure his shit out. But then you give him somebody to kind of prove himself, I guess. I'm not sure what the bookings are for these guys, but I'm gonna throw a couple out. Somebody like a Chris Barnett or a Tanner Bozer would work for me. I think he's got to prove himself against some of those guys, and that might be even higher than where Mark is going. Who knows?
Totally, Mark. Take it.
No, I'm going higher than that. I mean, Bozer's kind of on point. I think Barnett is maybe a little too far back. But I was looking at a couple other guys who seemed good for a time and now have been losing. In Augusto Sakai, obviously he just recently bounced back, and Chris Dawkins. I feel like, all three of those guys could use a win over someone who's relevant. So putting Romanov with either of them makes some sense.
Like it. Okay, let's move on. Congrats to Volkov for looking great yet again, reminding us that he is pretty fucking high level at heavyweight.
Yeah, man, he looked scary in that one. He really did. Props to him.
He definitely did.
One point where he walked towards him with his hands down. You know what I'm talking about? That moment?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, he's gonna fuck him up.
Dude,
Yeah.
honestly, there's one frame where he came towards him for a 1-2, and he just had this face that still now is burned in my memory, where you could see he was trying to fuck him up. Like, there was no hesitation. It's not great.
Okay, in a main card bout that was supposed to be the headliner for its own fight night a few weeks ago, Nikita Krylov took on Ryan Spann, and Krylov walked away with the victory by submission via triangle choke in the first round, the official time 3:38. Mark, let me toss it over to you first. Give us your take of Krylov getting it done over the always dangerous and powerful Ryan Spann.
Fun fight while it lasted. Both guys came out swinging. They both ate a couple early, and then it really turned into a grappler's delight. We saw some awesome scrambles in there from both guys. We saw both guys threaten some subs. Spann had his shot at a guillotine, which he loves. Couldn't pull it off. And he was sub-hunting the whole time, but Krylov was flowing in those grappling exchanges. Every time Spann got free, Krylov would immediately beat him to the next spot. He was always landing in the advantageous position. And then when Spann finally shakes him off, he just dives back into an instantaneous triangle. So it was a hell of a job from Krylov in a dangerous fight. He showed once again that he is dangerous anywhere you take him in a fight, which always makes him a live dog, even as he maybe starts to get opportunities against these top guys now. And I said it last week. I think we are in the midst of the best Nikita Krylov we have seen in the UFC thus far.
For sure, man, for sure. Omar, give us your reaction to Krylov looking great and ultimately finishing Spann in the first round.
He absolutely looked great on the ground, man. Spann also looked great, I thought. I thought he looked really good. He was really aggressive. The transitions were great. There were definitely moments, though, where he got a little sloppy. He was kind of out of balance, out of position, and it cost him. Especially when you fight a guy like Krylov, who is looking for those opportunities. These high-level jiu-jitsu guys are looking for the smallest opportunity to take your back, or to take a choke, or to take an arm, or at least to take a sweep or a position. It doesn't really take very much. And Spann, I think, gave up more than one opportunity for that to happen, and he paid for it, man. And it sucked, because I thought he did look good. I was hoping it would work out for him, but it did not. So,
yeah,
on to the next one.
So moving right along here, even though this happened at a catchweight because of the sort of snafu that happened with the scheduled fight a few weeks ago, this is a light heavyweight bout. So tell me, Omar, what would you do with Nikita Krylov next at 205?
Again, not sure what the resume says that there's up next for these guys. But I definitely think I would probably put him up against Ratchik at this point, Alexander Ratchik. That would be my choice.
Okay, Mar?
Yeah, so he was asking for Jan, apparently, Blachowicz. I don't know if we are going to be running back Jan and Magomed or not. I kind of assumed that they would, but we haven't heard a word about it, so maybe it's not happening. And if they're not, I am down for Jan and Krylov too. It's been 5 years since the first one. As I just said, I think Krylov is significantly better now than he was then, and that'd be a fun-ass fight. But if not that, the other name I was going to throw out was Alexander Rakic. He's back pretty soon. He was, pretty high in the ranks, and he's going to need a guy to step back in, and I think that's a good one.
Nice. What about Ryan Spann? Mark, sticking with you here.
I think Spann and Ozdemir is probably what makes the most sense to me. They're both right there. They're both coming off losses to Krylov. I do think Spann could pass that test, and I think it helps his resume to do that. So I think put those two in there and see what Spann can do.
Nice. What about you, Omar? Any other ideas?
Yeah, that was my one. I'm trying to see now if he has ever... Yeah, if not him, maybe Paul Craig, just to throw another name out there.
Thought about that too.
Especially just watching the grappler's delight that was that last fight. Paul Craig, I think, is a little crazier, but still very tight when it comes to the submission game. So I think it'd be a nice, playful fight as far as that part is concerned. But I honestly, I don't know, man. I'm wavering on Spann. It's getting difficult for your boy.
How so? How do you mean?
I think about it. I think about against Ozdemir and Craig. I think he could beat Ozdemir. I don't think Ozdemir is going to be looking to take him down all so much, but I worry about the tendencies he has to be sloppy when it comes to striking and his positions. Like, you hear a lot of guys talk about, position over submission and stuff like that, and a lot of times he doesn't necessarily follow that mantra, if you will. And he keeps getting screwed as a result. He's got a winning record, so it's not like I don't want to talk too much shit, but once you start getting into this funnel that is the top 5 and, the top 10, top 5, like the room for error is infinitely smaller than what it was in the top 25 and the top 35. And this is where a lot of guys tend to get exposed for their flaws. And I just hope Ryan Spann is smart enough to maybe come back and fix some of this shit, because he's not going to win any fights in the top 5 where he's losing position, where he's just off balance. It's not going to happen. These guys are technicians in the top 5. So
Yeah, man.
I think he can do it, man. I just hope he does.
Okay, moving right along here. In the bantamweight division, UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Dvalishvili, Jonathan Martinez gets it done over Saeed Nurmagomedov by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Omar, let me start with you. With the flex, give us your reaction.
Yeah, baby. I don't even know if he won that fight, but I got that pick right, baby. Let's go. Let's go. That, truthfully, that was a very difficult fight to score. I do not envy the judges in that particular fight. I can't really tell you what I thought or who I had winning. That fight was all over the place.
Yeah.
I thought Nurmagomedov might have done enough to win the 2 out of the 3 rounds. I want to say 1 and 2. But I mean, it was close. Giving me an argument that Jonathan Martinez won 2 and 3, I don't hate it. You know what I mean? 2, I think, was the closest round, I think, out of all of them, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a good fight. It was a really good fight. And I think nobody gave Martinez a shot in hell, really, when it came to Nurmagomedov. And I thought he put on a fantastic showing. I thought it was a great accord of himself. So I was glad he got the win. It was a close fight, though. And I know people were mad about it.
Mark, bringing you in here for Martinez getting it done over Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, I guess I don't hate the decision because 2 and 3 were competitive rounds. And if you want to tell me you gave them both to Martinez, I can't be too mad at you. I didn't love the decision. I do think it should have gone Saeed's way. He was awesome early. He was a freaking whirlwind of weapons, as he often is in round 1. Teeps, straights, calf kicks, head kicks, spinning elbows. Like, he came out. And then even the takedown, the back take, choke attempts. Like, round one was a show from Saeed. And to Martinez's credit, he did bounce back from that when early it looked like, wow, he is getting friggin' blitzed here. He needed that clinch against the fence. That's kind of, I feel like, what brought him back into this fight. You know, he had some good shots. I still think, like, in round two, that despite the periods of clinching against the fence, I still thought Saeed did more before and after that period where he was stuck on the fence, which is why I'm not thrilled about the decision. And round three, I do think Martinez did better. He kind of started to accumulate some damage with the calf kicks. But I don't know. I feel like it was a lot of clinching from Martinez in that fight where he wasn't doing so much with the clinch. And I felt that the reason for it was because he was losing most of the striking exchanges and most of the grappling exchanges. So I don't love him being the winner of that fight, but, you know, he toughed it out and, you know, got himself a W, so good on him.
I will say, having Martinez adjust to the fact that he was kind of getting... Excuse me, hello. Hey.
Pardon the interruption.
Fucking up my wall, dog. Anyway, sorry. So Martinez making the adjustment to hold him against the clinch, because what it did nullify a lot of his forward movement, a lot of his attacks. Definitely nullified all of that long range shit that Martinez was getting smashed with. And it allowed Martinez to open up with elbows and knees, and really good knees. So I don't hate the adjustment. I do think that there is a case to be made that there was more damage done by Martinez in that second round to Nurmagomedov. And just for a little bit of sprinkles on here, I went to MMA Decisions here.
Yeah, I looked at their shit too. It doesn't even, it's like backwards rounds.
What do you mean?
They gave Saeed the third and Martinez the second.
Yeah.
And we're both saying the opposite.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. But I figured even if you take it and swap it around.
I didn't even look at the overall. Who did more people score it for?
Nurmagomedov.
More for Nurmagomedov?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, to Martinez's credit, which is kind of what I meant at the end when I was saying you got to give him credit. Like you said, he did make the adjustment. He did find a way to kind of corral Saeed. And if you told me before the fight that Martinez was going to be able to clinch Saeed and hold him against the fence, I'm not sure I would have thought that would happen. So to even accomplish that was something. You know, I don't want to take away from him. He's a talented kid. He's on his way up here. But, you know, I saw a lot of good things from Saeed in that fight, so it's a tough loss for him.
Yeah, man,
Cub Swanson was not impressed with Martinez.
Let's quickly discuss the near future of these two gentlemen. Mark, give us a name for the winner here, Jonathan Martinez.
How about Cody Garbrandt?
How about it?
Great movement from Cody. Can he avoid the leg kicks of Martinez? Can Martinez, who does get hit, avoid a big bomb from Cody? What happens in the wrestling? I think it's a fun fight.
Nice. Omar?
I actually like the Cody Garbrandt one. Cody Garbrandt needs something fun, something real, something worth it. That last fight was bad for all the reasons. I like it. I say I'll go with the Cody Garbrandt as well.
Any names you guys want to quickly throw out for Saeed?
I will throw out a man we're going to talk about in a little bit who won on this card, which is Victor Henry. I think that they are similarly ranked. Saeed is, I think he had jumped into the rankings. He's back out now. I don't think Henry is that far outside of them, and I think they could put on a really fun fight.
Nice.
Damn.
Any other bright ideas, Omar?
Maybe somebody like a Javid Basharat.
Okay.
That could also
That'd be a
good
fucking
fight.
banger, too.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, moving on. One more recap, maybe two, before we hop into our lightning round in the bantamweight division. Davey Grant gets a technical submission via inverted triangle choke over Raphael Assuncao. The official time, 4:43 of round 3. My goodness. Omar, let me start with you. The always exciting Davey Grant gets the win over the veteran of veterans in Assuncao. Give us your reaction.
Didn't give him the respect of a veteran. Davey Grant went forward the whole time, didn't give a shit, wasn't worried about nothing. Was very, very aggressive and kind of had Assuncao on his back foot the entire time. To Assuncao's credit, he, early in the fight, I should say, he timed a lot of good takedowns, a lot of moments where he was able to get the fights at the ground, work from top, and kind of nullify a lot of what Davey Grant had to do. Davey Grant had a lot of good get-ups, though, and the fight, I thought, was pretty competitive through those 2 rounds. Once we got to the 3rd round, man, I don't know if they said something to Davey Grant or what happened, but he went out there and completely stunned Raphael Assuncao. Knocked him down with the right hand. Assuncao got back up and was like, muito bem. And then he ends up getting head kicked and then gets pushed around and then gets taken down and then he gets back up and then he gets dropped again. I mean, it was... They got to the point where, obviously, in that scramble, Davey Grant ends up getting the inverted triangle choke. If you watch the replay, you could see Assuncao trying to go for a grip, a gable grip, so that he could pull and kind of create space in between the triangle-ness that was happening. And, dude, I think he might have gotten like a quick touch of his hand, and then you could see it just break away. And we're talking maybe 2-3 seconds at most that triangle choke was in, and he was out cold. Yeah. I mean, Davey Grant put on a fantastic performance in that 3rd round. You can't do it better than that to a veteran, no less.
Yeah, I'm always excited to see Davey Grant strike, but I was impressed by this submission he landed. Mark, let's bring you in. What was your reaction to Davey Grant getting it done over the veteran Assuncao?
Yeah, what a friggin' night for Davey Grant, man. I picked him in this one, but admittedly, I did it based on volume that I thought he'd be putting out and, a few big ones landing to sway the judges. And for 2 rounds, he could barely hit Assuncao, man. I mean, we've always known this about Assuncao, but he is so good at not getting hit and at, frustrating guys and nullifying their games and managing to take rounds. And that's exactly what he was doing to Davey Grant through 2 rounds. Grant was trying to push a pace, but he wasn't really hitting Assuncao. Assuncao was just slicker. And then I think in round 3, Grant knew he was down 2 rounds and he had to really pour it on. And he did. The first big shot comes. Assuncao slows down a bit. Grant starts landing a little more. Catches him flush, stumbles him. Assuncao does manage the takedown. Grant gets up again. I mean, he was battling at this point. Cracks him some more times. The clock is ticking. You're wondering, can he pull off the comeback? Then we get the fence grab. Grant loses a point. Assuncao gets to reset. And you're like, all right, only a minute left now. It's a reset. Assuncao's probably going to get out of here. And Grant friggin' pours it on again. Manages to hurt him again, drops him with a spinning back fist that was beautiful. And then one of the craziest damn sequences you can think of as Assuncao starts scrambling and dives deep on the legs, and Grant just kind of lets himself fall over top and locks up a damn reverse triangle as he does it and puts Assuncao out cold with 17 seconds left in the fight for a freaking monster comeback and a monster win in the career of Davey Grant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Staying with you, Mark, quickly, give us the name of who's next for Davey Grant.
I will say the loser of Pedro Munoz and Chris Gutierrez. I think either of those would be a great scrap and test for Davey Grant.
Any other ideas, Omar?
Honestly, dude, Mark is taking all the goddamn good choices. So we're just gonna stick with those. This is out of control.
You second the motion.
I do.
One more recap, gentlemen.
I want to give a quick shout out before we go. Raphael Assuncao retired after this fight.
Yes.
I won't go into a whole huge thing for him, but he is a guy who's been a top bantamweight for a long, long time. Long UFC career. WEC guy before that. He's one of these guys that kind of just never got the title fight. He was ranked number 2 and number 3 and number 4 for so long, and he never was able to get that one more fight to break through for the title fight. But he was a stud for a long time.
Yeah, man.
And had a quality quality career for sure.
For sure.
I definitely wish his last outing didn't involve him giving the Matumbo finger and then getting spinning back fisted in the fucking face.
No, he gave a thumbs up.
No. Go back and watch that. Because at one point he hit him and he was like, and then he turned kind of.
Oh, I think you meant right before the spinning back fist. Because before the spinning back fist is a thumbs up. And people online were saying, like, that was bullshit by Davey Grant. Why would he hit him when he was giving him a thumbs up? And then
don't give a thumbs up.
And then there were comments like, bro, that was the 7th thumbs up he gave in the fight. Like, he can't just keep giving thumbs up expecting not to be hit.
No one asked you if you're good. No one.
For sure. Okay, last recap before we hop into our lightning round.
No, that was.
I thought Omar wanted to do Henry and Gravely.
Oh, my bad. What did we decide?
We'll throw it in the lightning round because I'm not going to pick. I'm not going to pick next fights for them.
Okay, here we go. Lightning round for UFC Fight Night. Jan versus Dvalishvili. Mario Batista round 1 sub over Guido Canetti. Omar, go first.
Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, what can you say, dog? Guido Canetti got sunned. He got completely sunned. Mario Batista looked like an animal, and there really wasn't that much to it. I mean, it was pretty quick. It was pretty to the point, and Canetti gets another loss on his record, man. That sucked. But Batista looked nasty. Absolutely nasty.
Mark?
Yeah, we said this last time that Batista fought. He's very good. Like, he's dangerous everywhere. He can finish in different areas. He's a tough puzzle to solve. I want to see this man in there with some guys who matter more than a Guido Canetti, no offense.
No offense, Guido.
It was a thumbs up. You were right. I don't know. I must have combined his earlier no with the thumbs up.
Okay. Light heavyweight Vitor Petrino defeats Anton Turkali?
Turkali, yeah.
Turkali by unanimous decision. 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. Mark, go first.
Yeah, it's your typical J pronounced as an I. I was thrown off as well.
Yeah.
Physically, Petrino looks like an absolute monster. He was landing some hammers in round 1. I couldn't believe that he didn't finish Turkali with them. But then Turkali actually battles back, probably took round 2. And we end up having a great fight the rest of the way. And to Petrino's credit, like I said, he probably dropped that round 2. The judges didn't think so. I thought he did. And then Turkali has his back to start round 3. So he was in a bit of a tough spot, and he shows you something by coming back, winning the fight from that point, and making sure he gets out of there with a W. So solid debut win for him. Definitely interested to see him again.
Omar?
I did have Petrino winning 2 out of the 3 rounds. I thought that Turkali,
they were just saying.
Turkali.
Yeah.
I did think that he won the second round.
Yeah.
I do think it was interesting that all 3 judges had the second round for Petrino. But it was a good showing for Petrino. Very dominant, I thought, all things considered.
Okay. Another lopsided one. Carl Williams unanimous decision over Lucas Brzeski. Omar, go first.
Okay, this one I thought was a little bit easier to figure out, right? Everybody was on board, I think. No judges were making shit up. I think this was 10 across the board for Williams. Pretty dominant win for him.
Mark?
This dude's a bit of an animal, huh? I mean, holy hell. I can't tell exactly what level he's on until I see him in there with, like, another opponent or two, but he was throwing Brzeski, I forget how you say his name. He was throwing him around. Some monster slams, great wrestling, aggression for days. He was willing to strike. He had good cardio for a heavyweight. I was watching it thinking, like, man, this guy is pushing a pace. Like, let's see what happens here. Nothing happened. Pace just stayed. So that was an interesting debut for sure. Good job by Carl Williams.
What did you give him in the third round? Did you give him 10-8?
I think I had it 10-9 every round, if I recall.
But
I'm not sure I was watching so closely to see if it was 10-8 because I knew it didn't matter either way.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
Okay. Let's see. Middleweight Josh Frem defeats Cedricus Dumas. Mark, take it.
Dumas looked as advertised for sure, like a dangerous dude, all 8 limbs, that kind of deal. But Frem did well, man. He's a tough guy, which helps. He chewed up the leg when he could. He found some key takedowns. And then by early round 2, Dumas looked like he was moving slower. And Frem just stayed poised, fought a real poised fight, and snatched up a guillotine for a needed first UFC win for him.
Omar.
Honestly, man, Dumas looked a little sort of mid, kind of not really super impressive, if we're being completely honest. I thought Frem showed a lot more aggression, a lot more like he had a plan in there. Dumas just kind of looked like he was just there, reacting, doing, whatever I guess was there. But Frem had a plan. He had a plan of what he was doing from the beginning of that bell all the way up until he choked that boy out. And I think you could see the real disappointment on that kid's face once he was done. I don't think he was fully prepared for that fight. And that's not to say that he didn't train. That's not to say that he didn't take it seriously. But I think there was something that was seriously missing from his comprehension of how he needed to fight that fight. And hopefully he comes back a little bit more prepared, whatever that ends up meaning. But him being better equipped to deal with what is about to happen to him in that cage.
Okay. Bantamweight's Victor Henry defeats Tony Gravely by split decision, 30-27 and 29-28 for Henry and a 29-28 for Gravely. Omar, take it.
Dude, this was a great fight. Another one with, I don't know what is going on with the card and the pace, but the pace from Victor Henry is absolutely insane. And credit to Tony Gravely, because although there was some slight melting, the man's melting point is very, very high. I mean, he stuck with it through 3 rounds, and I think to the point where Victor Henry's like, dude, what the fuck else do I have to do? But Josh Barnett was screaming in this kid's corner, don't let him quit, or, don't let him up. Don't give him the opportunity not to work. Make this kid work every second of every minute of that fight. And Victor Henry had everything. It was a Muay Thai clinic for round 2, man. Teep, punch, step forward, punch, kick, teep, step back. I mean, he was putting all kinds of shit together. It was really crazy to watch. His takedown defense in round 2 specifically, I thought was really good. I thought he fucked up in round 1. He gave him his hips. I think it was just a real miscalculation in one of those exchanges early on. But it was a hell of a fight, man. A real hell of a fight. I did think that Victor Henry personally won all 3 rounds. I'm not sure how Mark feels about it. I know there was some dispute about, whether Victor Henry won all 3 or whether he won 2. I don't think in any realm Gravely won 2 out of 3. I can tell you that. But I do think the right person won, personally.
Okay, Mark.
This was a hell of a fight. I loved this fight. I've watched it twice just because live I thought it was Henry's, and then I saw on MMA Decisions that a lot of people gave it to Gravely. Both 1 and 3 were very close. So it's another one where I guess I get it. I scored it for Henry, and I'm glad that he got it because he absolutely, to steal Omar's phrase, put on a Muay Thai clinic in round 2. That was a super clear round, and the other 10 minutes were a toss-up. So I like that it went Henry's way. Those boys went to war, though. Neither man had any quit in them. Henry, by round 2, turned it up and was flowing. He was piecing Gravely up bad at times, and Gravely would not go away. He battled back in round 3. To Henry's credit, he got tired in round 3, and he just decided, all right, I'm going to walk in tight into like phone booth range and just make this a dogfight. And he earned that thing, in my opinion. So it was an impressive win for Henry, but an impressive showing from both guys.
Okay, Ariana Lipski, unanimous decision over J.J. Aldrich at women's flyweight. Mark, staying with you, give us your take.
I don't know where Ariana Lipski's takedown D came from in this fight. I don't think Aldrich ever would have believed if you told her that she wasn't going to be able to get Lipski down a single time. But she couldn't, and she was stuck striking, and JJ just got beat up all fight, man. Lipski was faster. She was the more varied striker, and she was one step ahead in the striking all fight long. So that is the biggest UFC win for Lipski thus far, I would say. Legitimized her a bit.
Yeah, man. Omar?
I think that was the best Lipski that we've ever seen. Like Mark said, takedown defense was on point. But not to mention that the combinations that she was throwing together in that fight. I mean, she wasn't hitting Lipsky with just one shot and moving around. She was piecing Lipsky, or I'm sorry, she was piecing Aldrich up a lot through 3 rounds. It even got to the point where Aldrich kind of went for some Hail Mary trips and takedowns in round 3, found herself trying to get up off the ground with her ass getting beat all the way up there. So I thought it was a fantastic showing from Lipsky, very dominant performance from Lipsky, answered a lot of questions I thought about where her overall game was, how well-rounded she is. So far, so good.
Okay. Bruno Silva, round 2 submission over Tyson Nam. Omar, go.
Yo, anybody know if this kid's jaw's broken? Because getting kicked in the face like that, that was the worst, dog. That was the worst. And my wife was like, wait, so that's not it? So he gets like half knocked out and then he got choked out later? That's correct. That is correct. That was a rough night for Tyson Nam, man. Not how I expected that fight to go. But Bruno Silva's a beast, and that up kick, that front kick, I should say, was absolutely devastating. Crazy.
Okay, Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, round 1 in this thing was a good competitive round. You know, Nam was pressuring kind of how he always does. Silva was moving pretty well. He was using the kicks to keep Nam off him. And then I don't know if it was Silva's corner that told him Nam was open up the middle or if he just saw it himself. But he came at it round 2, threw that kick right away. Massive kick to the jaw, front kick. Somehow Nam survives it, but soon enough, Silva just savagely laces up a rear naked choke and puts Nam to sleep. So big win for him, and he's another guy who's dangerous everywhere.
Okay, last one. Let's see. Carlson Harris, UD over Jared Gooden. Mark, go.
Gooden carries big power, and he certainly knows that and fights that way where he's looking for his one shot, but he just fights too slow and flat-footed for me. I know it was short notice, but it's not the first time I've thought that about him, and Harris was just a tough matchup. You know, he can do a bit of everything. He was able to vary his attack to kind of keep Gooden defensive all fight, and then he realized he had a big grappling advantage, and he just leaned on that the rest of the way and really worked Gooden down there. So good win for him. And honestly, his only loss through 4 UFC fights is to Shavkat. So Carlson Harris might be pretty solid.
Hell yeah, man. Omar, take it home.
Honestly, man, another one with a pace. I mean, the pace from him was pretty high, especially considering how big these boys were. A lot of wet blanket analogies I could throw in there for a lot of parts of that fight as well. I thought it was a good showing from Harris. I don't know how well that game plan is going to work, right? Like we were talking about, like the funnel of the elite. But it worked right now against Jared Gooden, and it might work for the next 2 or 3 guys up until we really get to the tippity top.
Hell yeah, man. All right, that does it for this week's lightning round. Let us now turn our attention to the rankings that Mark maintains meticulously in what we call the Priaulx Rankings after him. Mark.
All right, we got a few to note this week, and then we will get into the Bellator side of things, which obviously had some noteworthy fights as well that we kind of saved here to do UFC in one chunk. For the UFC, I have 4 risers and 2 fallers this week. The fallers I'll start with are going to be JJ Aldrich. She had kind of climbed herself up to number 19 in my women's flyweight rankings. Had been looking pretty good lately. She takes a tumble down to number 25 on the heels of this loss. The other one, Tyson Nam, he had jumped up to number 13 after finishing Ode Osborne, I believe, in his last fight. Kind of tumbles down a little bit now to number 17 after getting finished in this one. To the risers, on the flip side of that one, Bruno Silva. He was down at number 25 in my flyweight ranks. He is now my number 15 ranked flyweight. A very big win for him. Moving up from there, Davey Grant. He was ranked number 28 at bantamweight. He's always been a hard guy to rank.
Damn.
He doesn't really have any losses that are so bad. He's got a win over Chito Vera, but it was kind of a strange resume. He is now my number 15 ranked bantamweight. That was a very big win for him. So a nice jump. Beyond that, Jonathan Martinez. He was another guy, same boat. He's got a couple weird losses. I still had him down at number 30. He is now my number 18 ranked bantamweight. We talked about the decision, but it is a win, and he's right there. The UFC already has him ranked, I believe. I haven't
15.
quite cracked him through. It's a murderer's row division, so he's 18 for me at the moment.
Yeah.
And then the last one, maybe an obvious one. Merab was my number 4 ranked bantamweight, and he is now my clear number 1.
Let's go.
Martinez is actually 14 above Jack Shore, who is number 15, which I find curious.
And Jack Shore left the division, so after Saturday he'll be out of those rankings.
Fucking UFC, bro.
Yeah,
I can't keep up anymore, dog. There's too many people.
I don't know that there's just too many good bantamweights for me to be putting.
Bantamweight is a fantastic little top 15 right now.
It's hard to rank. Like you go through the top, like 25 guys at bantamweight, and it's like pretty damn good.
It's fun.
You could shake it out some different ways.
Yeah.
But that does it for the Priaulx rankings this week.
All right.
Actually, I meant to ask or check myself. Did the UFC make Merab number 1? Did he jump O'Malley? Because I think he should.
Find out.
I'm going to it myself.
Merab is number 1. Merab is number 1. Sean O'Malley is number 2. Vera 3. Jan drops 2 spots to number 4 on the UFC rankings.
They almost have it right. Cheeto should be 2. O'Malley should be 3,
say,
considering he beat him. But hey,
those
guess
rankings
we can't ask
are
for
made by
everything.
chooches.
Guess we can't ask for everything.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's find out what's going on in the world of MMA outside of the cages with our segment Inside the MMA Sphere.
Nope.
Sorry. Let's go to Bellator 292. Sorry. Habit's a powerful thing, man.
That was a habit. I know that was a habit.
Habit's a powerful thing. It took over, bro.
Yeah.
It took over. Let's see. Bellator 292 this past weekend. It went down at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. Headlined by Usman Nurmagomedov and Benson Henderson. Let's talk about this main event with Nurmagomedov getting it done, advancing in the Bellator World Grand Prix at lightweight, also maintaining his title because Bellator, of course, keeps the title on the champ throughout the tournament. So here we go. Mark, start with you. Give us your reaction of Nurmagomedov getting it done, looking good over Benson, and Benson ultimately putting the gloves down.
Light work. It started quick. Huge head kick from Usman, drops Benson right away. Benson tried everything he could to scramble out of that position. He did not want to let it end that soon, and we know how good Benson is in scrambles and defensively when it comes to submissions, and it didn't matter. Usman is that good. I know we've only seen Patricky Pitbull and now an older Benson Henderson that are really, names on his resume. We will learn a lot more when we see Usman in there with like an AJ McKee or someone of that ilk as time goes on here. But, man, from what we have to go off so far, Usman looks like the real friggin' deal. To drop Benson like that, to calmly deal with the scrambles and the transitions and maintain control and tap him in less than a round is as big a statement as Usman could have made this weekend.
Absolutely. Omar, your thoughts?
Yeah, dog. That question mark kick, man, is probably one of the craziest things I've seen. It's question mark kicks for me, at least the way I've understood them, are sort of an extension of a teep, so that you can kind of fake a teep, kind of put that trap out there, fake a teep, and then kind of come over the top and hit somebody in the head. This dude faked a low kick and went all the way from low to high in one flick. Mm-hmm. I can't even go high, dog. That shit is crazy,
you'll
son.
Get there, bro.
That shit is crazy. To go from low to high like that with such dexterity, and obviously you can see how difficult it was because it took him right off his feet. He didn't even have his own balance in that kick. I also listened to the Benson Henderson interview. He had no idea what he got hit with. He had no idea. He all of a sudden found himself on the floor.
It was fast.
And you could see his reaction too. Benson Henderson just kind of reacted to himself being on the floor because he had no idea what happened. Just kind of turtled over and kind of tried to stay defensive. And to Nurmagomedov's credit, man, he's a beast. He jumped right on top of him, worked for the submission, and he got it. And, Benson Henderson might have been at the end of his career, at the twilight of his career. But to submit Benson Henderson in the first round in like a minute and change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
Short of you telling me Benson Henderson hasn't trained 10 plus years, that's crazy. That's a crazy accomplishment. So good on Nurmagomedov. That's a hell of a feather.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
Let's discuss the career of Benson Henderson. And Mark, what do you make of this man's trajectory?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't come prepared with a kind of retirement notes on him like I have with some of the recent guys like Shogun and Fedor. I mean, he's not quite their level, but the dude is a former champ, a WEC champ and a UFC champ. Was trying to be the Bellator champ, had some chances. It would have been cool for him, I'm sure, to have all 3 titles on his mantle. Unfortunately, it never materialized. But, if Benson was a bit before your time as a UFC fan, the dude was a stud. I mean, he has wins over Jamie Varner, Cowboy Cerrone twice, Jim Miller, Clay Guida. And this is when all these names were in their primes. Again, if you're a newer fan, you know these as kind of older guys now. These were top-of-the-heap guys. Frankie Edgar twice in title fights. Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Josh Thompson, Jorge Masvidal. The list goes on. Now, were some of these debatable split decisions that I myself at the time was pretty pissed about going Benson's way? Yes. But long story short, he's been in there with a whole bunch of killers. He has always been a guy who's so hard to hurt, so hard to finish, so hard to figure out. Always been an incredible athlete, represented the game well, was a marketable UFC champion for a time, beloved in the game. You never hear a bad word about Benson Henderson as a fighter, a friend, training partner, coach specifically, his gym. Those guys love him there. So, yeah, he's always been an intriguing character. Obviously, freaking all these fights he fought with a damn toothpick in his mouth, which is the most mind-blowing thing you'll ever hear. But, a good dude, a lot of good fights he gave us, and obviously he will be missed in the game.
Omar, your thoughts?
I got to say, man, I think I rooted against Benson Henderson in almost every fight.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I didn't like him. It was because this man fought everybody that I liked. I'm sure there were some fights here and there that I rooted for him, but, like, I was never going to root against Anthony Pettis, especially back then. Are you kidding me? Surprised I didn't get fucking Pettis tattooed on my back. Like, I wasn't rooting against him. And against Frankie Edgar, another one. I have a Team Edgar UFC Ultimate Fighter jersey. I ain't going against Frankie Edgar, especially back then.
Mm-hmm. It was
he beat him.
Same boat for me, man. Benson was the enemy.
He was the enemy, but he was a good dude, man. It's not like I had any animosity towards him, but he was just sort of the villain of the story in the best way. You know what I mean? But he had great technique, man. He was never for me the best guy as far as the complete fighter was concerned. But that man was always down to scrap. That man fought guys that were significantly bigger than him at one point in his career.
Oh yeah,
and he beat some of them.
Dude, he fought Korshkov when he came to Bellator, which was just fucking silly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Benson Henderson's a beast, man. Like Mark said, they're the legends with the resumes of the wins and all this stuff. Like the John Joneses and stuff that I don't think he'll be at that level. But Benson Henderson to me is a legend for sure. I mean, he definitely put the WEC on notice, people on notice of the WEC, I should say, and won a UFC belt handily.
And defended it multiple times.
And defended it. Yeah. And then my man's Anthony Pettis,
Yeah. Put a stop to that.
With an armbar. The armbar that shut the world. There was a pin drop armbar right there. No one knew what even happened. But I digress.
That's so true.
I digress.
Yeah, then Benson gave him props for how high level it was.
It was great,
I remember
man.
that.
That was a nice little rivalry, a fun rivalry.
Yeah, man. Props to Benson, dude. He's he's going to go down as one of the greats. I mean, he's a class act, stand-up guy. Clearly the nicest guy in the world. In fact, I wonder if he would have been a little better off in terms of his fight career if he had a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. I don't know. He will be missed. He will be missed. He was a bright spot for sure. Possible next opponents for Nurmagomedov, we probably know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's only one of two guys, so.
He is awaiting the winner of Mansar Barnoui and Brent Primus happening in May. So whoever comes out of that one is who Usman will be getting next.
Okay. Let's
Who's the dark horse of this tournament here? Because I feel like now it's got to be Brent Primus.
Dark horse as in that people actually think can win?
And, well, people don't think that they could win, but could potentially win.
Because, yeah, I don't think Primus can win, so that doesn't really fit the definition of dark horse. Primus is probably the lowest level guy remaining at this point.
Savage.
I would say maybe the dark horse is Barnoui.
Wait, what do you think what is a dark horse to you?
Someone with lower odds who you think can win.
Not necessarily an underdog.
I don't really think Primus can win. So I wouldn't say he is that.
But that would make him an underdog.
Yeah, but if he doesn't think he could win, then he's not a dark horse. I thought Primus could win, but Mark is more savage than I am, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Hey, we'll see. We'll see. I'm just hoping we get... I mean, let's talk about this next fight with Shabily. I don't want to overlook him, but I'm just hoping we get Usman and AJ out of this fucking thing.
Got to.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on now to the co-main event, Bellator 292 in San Jose, California. Alexandr Shabily, round 3 TKO over Tofiq Musayev. Omar, give us your reaction first.
What a crazy little fight. I thought a very competitive fight at that. And then we get to the body kick. The body kick into Dick Gray's. That ended the fight. Mark was none too pleased. I have the text to prove it.
I have changed my take once further details came out, though.
Oh, interesting. Yes. We should now, with hindsight, note that Senor Musayev has a broken rib as a result of the kick. His dick, however, is okay. So I think there was more damage here, and that's why they called the fight the way that he called it. Jason Herzog, still the best in the game. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, this one was a little bit underwhelming to me. I had been pretty sure that this would be fight of the night, and it certainly was not that. Both guys were a bit frozen at times. I think they both wanted to be countering. There was a lot of staring going on, and I expected that from Shabily, but not from Musayev. Usually he is like violence coming at you, and for one reason or another, he wasn't that here. I don't know if he saw something in the matchup, but he changed his style, and I think it didn't go so well for him. In the little that did happen, Shabily seemed to be getting the better of most of the exchanges. He was a bit quicker. He really played with the range beautifully. He was controlling it. He had Musayev kind of struggling to figure out how to touch him. And then he lands that front kick to the ribs that ends up dragging across the cup on its way down. I was pissed at the time because I thought Musayev was in pain from the low blow, and I couldn't understand why the rule wouldn't allow him to recover there just because the low blow came after a legal blow. I was like, what's the difference? But then we learned later that he broke some ribs. So I will assume Herzog knew this in the cage and knew that Musayev was suffering from the broken ribs and not from the dick shot, in which case that would absolutely be the right call to not let him recover and to call the fight. So not the most exciting fight ever until the finishing kick, but a pretty solid statement about the legitimacy of Alexandr Shabily because he had Musayev struggling in there.
Staying with you, Mark, where do you think Shabily goes next from here?
So he gets the winner of the other one, AJ McKee and Patricky Pitbull. So that's our semis. One is Shabily against McKee Pitbull winner, and the other is Usman against Primus Barnoui winner.
Dude, I can't believe we're getting that fight in the first round.
Oh, I know.
Pitbull.
I was hoping they did that. It's gonna be some fun shit talk leading up to that one.
Hell yeah, man.
And honestly, I think Musayev should maybe just get the loser of that fight if you're looking to match him up. Whoever loses that Pitbull McKee fight, I think would make some sense.
Okay, heavyweights. Linton Vassell knocks out Valentin Moldavsky at 303 in the very first round. Omar, let me send it back over to you. Give us your reaction of Vassell getting Moldavsky out of there.
It was well played, Mark.
No, I didn't fucking pick it, dude.
Oh, you didn't pick it? I thought you did pick it in the end.
I kept saying that don't sleep on Vassell. He could absolutely do it. And you know the worst part? I even bet it. I bet Vassell TKO. And I didn't pick it on our fucking show. I'll get to it. But you go ahead.
I could have swore, because I remember you making all of these good points about why Vassell was going to win, and I just swore that's what you ended up with, but I guess not.
Nope.
Well, then I guess we all look like assholes then, because I don't think anybody picked Vassell.
Nope.
And even if I did pick Vassell, I really didn't think he was going to pick him by KO. But I got to say, man, he looked fantastic. He looked real good. And the ground and pound, you were absolutely right, was devastating. I mean, it got to the point where I don't even know if he needed that last shot to turn his lights out. I think we were good. We could have definitely stopped that fight before that happened. But, yeah, he looked bad, man. He looked real, real crazy. And Brian Bader, I mean, I can't keep talking shit about this kid. Brian Bader's going to have a lot to deal with Linton Vassell. A lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Mark.
What a friggin' performance from Linton Vassell. I knew this shit was going to happen, man. I felt it. Like I said, I even ended up betting on it once I saw the odds. I was like, I'm doing this. But, like, when we went to make the pick, I saw that he was a 3-1 dog or whatever, and I was a little surprised. Oh, wow. And then I started analyzing it, and I almost talked myself into why he was a 3-1 dog, and then I just fucking picked Moldavsky like an idiot. Should have just stuck to what I thought. This man is on a friggin' tear right now. He is fighting like a man who will not be denied. Moldavsky took him down twice in that first round, and he just patiently worked back to his feet both times. And then in a bit of a curveball, honestly, he lands a huge right on the feet, which I wouldn't have predicted, that drops Moldavsky. But from that point, it is academic because, as Omar just alluded to, I've said this before, that is one of the last guys that you want on top of you in MMA right now. He is a friggin' murderer from top position. And he put Valentin Moldavsky all the way out. Give this man his title shot.
Bro, his shots come from like the top of the goddamn Empire State Building, and then he just slams it right down, whether it's an elbow or a hammer fist. Like he's going all the way up and all the way down. It's terrifying. Yeah. Terrifying.
He's long, he's strong, and he has great posture when he's on top.
Yeah,
and strong hips, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Okay, one more for Bellator 292. The welterweight division, Michael Venom Page, round 1, TKO over Goiti Yamauchi. Mark, let me start with you this time. I've never seen something like this before in an MMA fight, in any fight for that matter. Give us your reaction.
Yeah, not much to analyze here. This one was over about 10 seconds after it started. The second strike of the whole fight was MVP's shin slamming into Goiti's kneecap, and Goiti's kneecap cratering. I don't know what the actual injury was. I meant to look it up and see what truly did happen to him once doctors were able to look at it. But visually, what happened to him is that his kneecap cratered. So that is the second time that MVP has shown us bone cratering power. The first was against Cyborg Santos's head a few years back. But man, for any shortcomings that MVP may have, he carries some scary danger. And this may have been a bit of a freak thing, but it's a big win for MVP. He needed it because a loss could have really sent him the other way. And now the win, I believe, is going to get him one more shot at a Bellator title.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Omar.
So real quick, just to give you an explanation, a slight explanation from somebody who is not a doctor or any kind of medically trained individual. He
Would
had
that be you or someone else?
No, it's me. It's me. He had a patella tendon rupture. So basically,
does that suck the kneecap back when that happens or something?
so there's a part of the kneecap called the patella, which is literally that front cap on that very, very front cap that's held together on one end by the quad tendon, a quadricep tendon. And then on the other end of it, on the bottom side of your kneecap, there's something called the patella tendon that holds the patella in place. That patella tendon went kablooey. And his fucking kneecap just floating now. It's just there. There's nothing holding it together. So
His kneecap got cratered. I'm basically a doctor.
Goiti is kind of fucked. That's a really bad injury. I don't know how that. I don't know how that's
absolutely
going to work.
Bizarre. I'm not even sure you can credit Michael Venom Page. I'm not even sure he meant to do that exactly.
Maybe not exactly, but I think the heat he throws with had something to do with it.
Sure.
I will say this: had Michael Venom Page kicked that man's knee 3-4 inches lower on his leg, on Michael Venom Page's own leg, we would have seen Michael Venom Page's foot evaporate.
Stop. I don't want to hear it.
Just for anybody watching that, please don't kick low on the leg. The higher, the thicker the bone, the worse it will not be for you. But yeah, patella tendon gone.
God.
But yeah, I think we're going to see Yaroslav Amosov get announced against Jason Jackson in the somewhat near future, and I kind of think MVP is going to be sitting there and get the winner of that fight.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to say about this pay-per-view?
I'll just give a quick. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. So apparently the issue with the patella tendon, it doesn't allow his knee to move. So like that's why it looked locked up, because I think it is. I don't think that thing is getting stretched out right now in its current form. So I'm assuming they figured, I'm sure they took him to the hospital and they did whatever they had to do, but I don't think that dude is actually able at this point to straighten his leg out.
Jesus.
I know.
That's fucked.
Wow, that is fucked. Yikes.
It's crazy.
I was just going to give a quick shout out to our boy Enrique Barzola, who got himself a nice W over Eric Perez.
Yes, sir. And I love Eric Perez, man. That's a painful fight that got put together, but
yeah, Perez is one of those guys who, like, in his early UFC days, you were like, oh, he's going to be nice, and then it just didn't really happen.
Part of me still wishes they would just let him fight with the luchador mask.
Yeah, man.
Just let him do it.
All right, now let us go inside the MMA sphere and find out what's going on outside of the cage in the world of mixed martial arts. Omar, take it away.
So your boy found out something interesting over this week that I was unaware of, that apparently people knew. I don't know if you guys know. Did you guys know that Shevchenko's coach, she was married to her coach, and that he's known her since she was like a teenager?
What? Shevchenko? Valentina?
Wait, who's married to her coach?
Valentina Shevchenko.
She's not married to a guy.
She's not married to her coach?
Are we sure? Because I think she is.
What are you basing this on?
I read this in... So first it was a meme that said, Pat Barry groomed Rose from 14, what a creep. And then it had one of those monkey eyes that says Shevchenko's coach, like, nobody look at me kind of deals. And I went to her Wikipedia page, and I'm pretty sure... Oh, now I don't fucking see it. You son of a bitch. Because I know that this man has been in her life since she was a teenager. He's been the same guy has been training her since she was a teenager.
Dude, this
Yeah, I know that. he was like a friend of her mom's or something, and that was how they got connected, something like that.
God damn it. I should have taken a snapshot of it when I found it, you bastards.
Oh, dude, he's married. No. Okay.
No?
He's married to Antonina, which is
Oh,
equally
she
fucking
has a
weird.
husband.
That's worse. That's worse. She's the younger one. That's worse. Oh, that's worse.
Yeah, he's
That's
married
a
to
lot
Antonina.
worse.
Wow.
Damn.
That's not great.
No.
It's not great. Okay, well, that confirmed that. I'm not a fan of that. That's kind of fucked.
No, she is older than Valentina.
Is she?
Yeah. I thought she was. Yeah. She is, I don't know how old, but I know she's
Oh, she's
older.
38. Oh, yeah, she is older.
Yeah,
Oh,
38.
I did not know that.
This
Still
show
weird.
has really taken a turn here.
Yeah?
Which one is 38? Which one's 38?
Antonina.
Wow. She looks great.
I thought she was
She's
the
a very
younger
pretty
one.
woman. And she does not look like she's 38. She looks like she's 28.
But I had to bring this to you because I did not know any of this. I guess I was wrong in that it was Valentina, but I wasn't that far off. So,
Yeah, you weren't.
damn. Okay, well. Next, Francis Ngannou is apparently close to signing with either PFL or One Championship. Those seem to be the two that they have narrowed it down to, which to me means the boxing thing doesn't look like it's going to happen, or at least not right now. I'm assuming whatever he does with PFL or One Championship, they'll give him the option to do that if that eventually arises.
So
I doubt.
The quote I read, I don't know if you watched it, in which case maybe you know more than me. The quote I read, he said that boxing will be first.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, that's what I saw today.
Oh, well, amen then. There it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, PFL, as far as MMA is concerned, PFL and the One Championship are the ones that they've whittled it down to. The bingo card for 2023, if you guys have one ready, Alistair Overeem, the Ubereem, suspended for Ubering himself and is now done now for a year, which I think is crazy that he only gets a year. How many times does he pop now?
So I have further info. I don't know how good this info is. I want to look more into this, but I saw a quote today from his coach, and the quote was, "I don't understand it. The drug he popped for is listed as a non-performance enhancing drug. It's a drug that he was taking to deal with back pain. Why is this win taken away? I still look at it as a win." That was the quote. So I'm over here like, wait, it's a non-performance enhancing drug that he popped for? So I need to get more details to this story. Unless the coach is just talking at his ass, but I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they have not announced any specifics, apparently, on the drug test, what he actually popped for, just a broad banned substance, essentially.
Maybe next week we'll have an update.
That is interesting. I didn't know any of that either. That's very, very interesting. I will say, and I think we can all agree, Ubereem failed all the fucking smell tests.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
Not one pass. It's not great. Nobody here is surprised. So, just saying.
Yeah, dude.
Leaves the USADA pool, all of a sudden his fucking muscles started getting muscles again.
Yeah, all it says in the reports, it says a banned substance. So, yeah,
Yeah.
now I wonder. Anyway.
All right, so we actually only have a couple of fight announcements, and then we can move right along. Danny Sabatello will be facing Marcos Breno on the main card of Bellator 294 on April 21st during the return to Hawaii. If I remember right, 294 is the first of the two back-to-back events in Hawaii taking place on both Friday and Saturday. So 294 and 295 will be going down. The 294 card that Danny Sabatello will now be on will be headlined by Liz Carmouche and Deanna Bennett. And the 295 card following that event will be headlined by Raphael Stotts and Patchy Mix, featuring Ilima Lee McFarlane and Aaron Pico and Kyoichi Haruichi. Let's see. Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo is finally official and will be headlining the UFC's 288 event on May 6th. Alir Latifi versus Rodrigo Nascimento has been added to UFC's May 20th event. At heavyweight, you never really know. I guess Rodrigo ain't going all the way down there. Alir has done 205, right? Am I bugging?
He used to be 205, and then he moved up to heavyweight.
Right?
His last 3 fights have been a heavyweight.
Kai Kara France versus Amir Albazi has been added to UFC's June 3rd event. And that is where we will leave it this week.
I didn't see that one. That's a fun one. I like that. Well, he deserves it, man. He's looked freaking good. I mean, it's kind of a jump opponent-wise. Like, he hasn't exactly beaten someone, but he's looked really good.
All right, gentlemen. Let us now turn our attention towards this weekend's sneaky little awesome pay-per-view. I feel like we just had a huge pay-per-view, and now, like,
yeah, dude, 2 weeks apart. Later. How about that?
Yeah, man. Here we go. UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. The rematch. Well, really, it's the trilogy fight, but really feels more like a rematch, if I'm being honest.
I know, it's funny. I keep thinking the same thing.
In London, the champions' home court, going down at the O2 Arena in London, England, headlined by Leon Edwards, the now UFC welterweight champion, taking on Kamaru Usman. Before we talk about a handful of fights on this card, are there any other fights or fighters that you guys want to quickly spotlight for our listeners and viewers?
I mean, a good majority of this card, for being honest. Muhammad Musayev is on this card, definitely one to watch. Omar Morales is another one that's really good to watch. Even the Jai Herbert Ludovic Klein fight is pretty damn intriguing. I got to say, that's a really fun fight right there.
Yeah,
the return of Joanne Wood. There's a couple of good ones on there, a couple of good fighters individually that are not bad to watch. I'm sure Mark has a couple more to look out for. I'm sure his boy Dusko will be on there. Dushku?
That's not my boy.
That's not your boy? You don't like Dushku?
Dushko.
Okay. Dushko.
Yeah, definitely a few. If you remember Veronica Macedo from her first UFC run, she is now Veronica Hardy, as she has married our boy Dan Hardy.
Oh, wow.
She makes a return to the UFC here, which I find interesting because they're not exactly on the greatest terms with Dan Hardy, but I guess no problems signing Veronica. So she's fighting Juliana Miller, tough winner. So interesting fight there. I'm sure Miller will be favored in that one. As Omar said, Joanne Wood, who we thought was leaving the UFC, back in the UFC. She's fighting Luana Carolina. I'm hoping she can bounce back here. And then there are some names to watch. The UFC kind of did the thing they do sometimes where it's like, we're in London, we're going to put the London guy against someone who they hopefully beat. But there's a handful of those. Jake Hadley's on the card, who's fun. He's fighting Malcolm Gordon. This dude, Christian Leroy Duncan, making his debut against Dushko, who you mentioned. There's some hype on him as a kickboxer, well-rounded MMA fighter, but kickboxing background. Lerone Murphy is fighting Gabriel Santos. And then, as you said, Muhammad Musayev fighting Jafel Filo. So definitely some names worth watching. We're not doing previews on all these because a lot of them are a little bit one-sided odds-wise, but worth watching for sure.
All right, first fight up. Going down in the... Is this bantamweight or featherweight?
So it's featherweight. Jack Shore has moved up to featherweight. He was struggling a bit with the cut and decided it was time to pull the trigger.
Okay. So we've got Jack Shore, Tank taking on Makwan, Mr. Finland Amirkhani. So Jack Shore, the 28-year-old out of Wales, 16-1 as a pro, just got handed his first professional loss by none other than Mr. Ricky Simone, who we have already invoked on this episode. Before that, he was 16-0 and undefeated in the UFC thus far, no longer. He's now 5-1 in the UFC, taking on Makwan Amirkhani out of Finland, of course, 34 years old, 17-8 as a pro with 12 submission wins on his record. Jack Shore, no stranger to the sub. 8 wins on his record have come by way of tap out. Mark, let me start with you. Give me your take and your pick. Amirkhani versus Shore.
So Shore is a pretty big favorite despite the jump up in weight class. Very big, I should say. He's minus 520. Amirkhani is plus 380. So a lot of respect from the books on Jack Shore, who was a very good bantamweight. As I said, he moves up here. He's had some weight issues, decided he didn't want to make that cut anymore. So he will lose the size advantage that he had at times at bantamweight. He's actually 2 inches shorter than Makwan, 1 inch less reach. And we know Makwan is dangerous as hell for those first 5 minutes. So it will be, it won't be any easy welcome into featherweight when that bell rings, because Makwan does come out hard. But I think Shore's game is too good and that he's too composed to get blitzed by Makwan, who kind of just looks for the quick takedown, quick sub type of deal. I think he does fine to get through round one, and I think he can take it over from there. Makwan usually will tire a bit. I think as he does, Shore will start to find more and more advantages, and I think he eventually gets Makwan out of there on the ground as Amirkhani tires more. So I'll say Jack Shore round 3 TKO.
Okay. Omar?
I like that take. I don't think he's going to be able to get Makwan out of there, though. I think it's going to end up getting progressively worse, especially with the control on the ground. I think Jack Shore has that ability for sure, but I don't think it'll happen until the second round. I think there'll be some get-ups in round one if he doesn't, getting some takedowns with some control on the fence. But I think when it's all said and done, I think Jack Shore will end up taking the 3 rounds, and it'll be a unanimous decision.
Okay. I am also on the Jack Shore train, straight out of Wales. How many Welsh fighters are there to begin with? My God.
I don't think very many.
Poor Wales, just getting shit on for their whole existence by England and everybody else before the Brits. Yeah, I'm a Jack Shore fan, man. I think he's going to get him out of there. I'm going to say he's going to hand Amirkhani another loss. He's been dealing with a lot of losses, that is Amirkhani, in his recent bouts. I'm going to say he's going to get him out of there. Round 2 TKO.
Yeah, I actually thought he may get cut after his last one, so this may be it.
Okay. Hopping up into the middleweights fun fight. Yep. We have a scrap on our hands. Marvin, the Italian Dream Vittori, taking on Roman, the Caucasian Delice. Or Delites. I've heard it both ways. Vittori, really needing no introduction to frequent listeners of this show. The Italian Dream, the 29-year-old out of Italy. He is 18-6 with 1 draw, 2 knockouts, 9 submission victories on his record, most recently coming off of a loss at the hands of Robert Whittaker. Roman Delice, rising through the middleweight ranks, the 34-year-old out of Georgia. He's on a tear, 4-fight win streak coming into this weekend. He's 12-1 as a pro with 7 knockouts. Omar, let me kick it over to you first. Give us your take and your pick of Delice versus Vittori.
Such a good fight, man, because this is one of those opportunities for Delice where he can really use his forward pressure and that pace to really overwhelm Vittori. I just don't know if it will. I feel like that might be the game plan. That's I feel like his bread and butter. But I feel like Vittori can kind of be a tank sometimes, stand his ground, and he lands big shots, man. He's not bad in the counter. He's not bad on the pocket. So I'm going to go with Vittori here. I don't think that he gets Roman Delice out of there. I think it becomes a pretty back and forth fight. I don't think either one of them is going to allow each other to get significantly over on the other. But I think Vettori, especially with his experience in there, his championship experience, I want to say he's going to be able to be smart enough to edge out these rounds, at least 2 of them. So I go with Vettori by unanimous decision.
Mark, give us that pick and your overall impression of this matchup.
Fun matchup here, for sure. Vettori, as you would probably expect, is favored. He's minus 275. Dvalishvili is plus 225. He is the bigger man. He's 2 inches taller. He's going to have 2 inches of reach in his corner over Vettori. He has looked super dangerous lately, but this is a big, big step up for him in terms of competition. Vettori has proven time and again how good he is, how well-rounded he is, how tough he is, and impossible to hurt he is. It's a lot to ask from Roman Dvalishvili, and I don't think he's quite ready to get past a Marvin Vettori. I think Marvin has to be careful, but I still think he can push a pace like he does, work behind volume, and generally just rack up some clean shots on Roman as the fight goes on. I don't think Dvalishvili is ready to strike with a guy like that. And Vettori's such a tank that I don't think traditional takedowns are going to work too well either. So, yes, like Dvalishvili can pull something crazy and find some huge moment. We've seen him do that. But I'm not going to bet on that. And remember, Jack Hermansson brought Dvalishvili to the ground, which is what gave him an opening in a fight that Jack was winning prior to that in both the striking and the grappling. Vettori's not bringing this thing to the ground. He's going to keep it standing. He's going to try to rack up the points there, and I just don't know that Dvalishvili can do something to change that. So I will go Vettori UD.
Oh, baby. So, Omar, what do you say?
He said the same.
Yeah, Vettori UD.
Omar, I was curious if you were going to go the other way. I know you're pretty high on Dvalishvili.
I do like him very much. But like I said, man, I kind of like you. Like I just think right now Vettori is just proving he's a step above. Maybe we'll get proven wrong. Maybe Dvalishvili will run right over him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But just with what I have to work with right now, I think Vettori can get it done. I don't think it'll be easy, and I don't think it'll be completely one-sided. I think it'll be completely competitive the entire 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I do not think this fight is going to go 3 rounds. And I think that Roman Dvalishvili is going to get the biggest win of his career. Wow. And I think he is going to hand Marvin Vettori his first TKO loss.
Wow.
Look, Vittori's a fucking tank. I think he's got to fall eventually. Now, Whitaker couldn't do it, but Whitaker doesn't carry the biggest power at 185 pounds. And Dvalishvili is a big man. He has a 3-inch height advantage over Vettori, and he carries a ton of power. And he's been fucking dudes up. I'm going to say yet again, round 2 TKO for Roman Dvalishvili.
All right.
It'll be cool if he breaks into the upper echelon of middleweight, man. It'll be some nice new blood.
Smart.
Well, sure, but it'll be just for the division. I think it'll be nice, like infusion of some new blood at the top there.
Especially if you ever did it like you just said.
Totally, yeah, for sure.
There'd be buzz on that name.
Okay, moving on now. Women's flyweight, Jennifer Maia taking on Casey O'Neill. Jennifer Maia, the 34-year-old out of Brazil, 20-9 with 1 draw. 4 knockouts, 5 subs, 11 decisions. Most recently defeating Marina Moroz back in November by decision. Standing across from her is the Aussie Casey King O'Neill, undefeated at 9-0, 25 years old, the Aussie from Queensland. 3 knockouts, 2 subs, and 4 decisions, most recently besting Roxanne Modafferi back in February of 2022, so over a year ago. And that fight was determined by a split decision. Mark, let me start with you this time. Give us your take and your pick of Maia versus O'Neill.
So what is wild to me is that Casey O'Neill is making her return from tearing her ACL and she's doing it in like 10 months since she tore it, meaning she's been training for at least like a month or two. So that is a hell of a quick heal job from an ACL. I did not think we were going to see her this soon. She is favored. She's minus 180. Jennifer Maia is plus 150. It is 2 inches of height and 5 inches of reach on the side of Casey O'Neill. As I said, it is her first fight back from an injury, so that will be interesting. See how she's moving in there. And honestly, this one's a coin toss for me. I have been impressed with Casey O'Neill the whole way through so far. I don't think she has looked untouchable or anything of that nature. Roxy was landing some solid shots on her. And Jennifer Maia is good everywhere and can score everywhere. I think she could rain on this Casey O'Neill parade potentially. You know, Maya's boxing is tough. Her grappling is obviously tough. I think I'm going to go Casey O'Neill, but I don't know what avenue to say she gets this done in. Like, it's one of these fights where usually I feel like the logic says go with the veteran, and I do that, but then I end up being wrong because the younger fighter like breaks through, and you wonder why you didn't believe in the younger fighter. So I'm going to try to get ahead of that here, and I'm going to pick Casey O'Neill, and I will say that it is maybe the pace that is a differentiator for her, just the pace and her aggression and willingness to be going for it at all times. So I'll say she scores more often and wins a decision.
Okay, Omar.
I second that take with a slight tweak. I think by the third round, I think the pace is going to affect Maia. And I think she's going to be wearing it pretty hard. And I think Casey's going to be able to get her out of there via rear naked choke round 3.
Okay. This is a tough one. I like the veteran status of Jennifer Maia. But at 9-0, I can't deny Casey O'Neill's rising. It complicates things. It makes it interesting. The fact that she had the surgery, coming off a split decision against Roxanne. I'll still roll with her, though. Undefeated prospect. Also, she'll get out of there with a UD over the very tough Jennifer Maia. I think it's going to be a fairly close fight back and forth, so we'll see.
Real quick, Mark, did you see your boy is ready to go? Tom Aspinall's back.
Really?
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Much sooner than anticipated. He said he'd be ready for a fight in June.
When is Blades and Pavlovich?
I don't remember.
I'm looking right now. It's in April. Dude, if we know who the winner of that fight is, right? Especially if it's Blades. And we know Bones and Stipe are fighting in, what is it, July? And we know how long they tend to take. It would not shock me if the UFC was like, all right, you know what, Blades, you're sitting here. You didn't really beat Tom Aspinall. We're doing that fight. And I would be fucking pumped because that means one win and Tom Aspinall's fighting the winner of Jones and Stipe. It's possible. Might be the fan in me talking, but it's possible.
But Pavlovich is going to win that fight, so I don't know how accurate
maybe.
all that is.
Okay. Next fight up. Welterweight division. Gunnar Nelson taking on Brian Barberena. So Gunny Nelson, the 34-year-old out of Iceland, 18-5, 1 draw, 12 wins by submission. Back in March, he got his most recent win over Takashi Sato. It was a UD. Brian Barberena, Bam Bam is his nickname, the 33-year-old out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. 18-9 as a pro with 11 knockout wins on his record. Rafael Dos Anjos snapped a 3-fight win streak in which Brian Barberena took out a few legends in Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler, but RDA got him out of there with a submission via neck crank. Omar, let me toss it over to you first this time. Give me your take and your pick of Nelson versus Barberena.
I think it's a very interesting fight. I think stylistically, Gunnar Nelson is going to try to be more technical, and Barberena is going to try to run at him and probably make the fight as ugly as possible, as smothering as possible. trying to keep Gunnar Nelson on his back foot. And the reality is, I think if this was the Gunnar Nelson of years ago, I don't know if he'd be able to do that. I think I'd have a lot more faith in Gunny's ability to stop that, especially with his top game, and his long-range karate strikes as well. I have been less than impressed with his performances as of late, even his win against Takashi Sato. I thought his distance management was less than good. And I thought there was a lot of moments there where, he uses grappling to his advantage in that Sato fight for sure, but the striking I thought didn't really hold up for me. I've seen him do better. So, Barberena is not a technician by any stretch of the imagination, so there is an avenue there for Nelson to win. Potentially, it might not be as exciting as we'd want it to be, if that does end up being the case. But I do think Barberena is a fight that Nelson can win, whether lackluster or not. But I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson by unanimous decision.
Let's go.
Gunny is favored pretty big. He's minus 390. Brian Barberena is plus 300. I was pumped for the original Gunnar versus D-Rod matchup, but Barberena is a pretty fun fill-in, I got to say. They are the same size. Honestly, for this one, it just comes down to that I feel like Barberena is going to get out-grappled again. I have a really hard time taking him against grapplers. And I do think it helps Gunnar also that his style on the feet is what it is, where he kind of keeps that space standing. He fights long. I think that can kind of help from allowing Barberena to build up steam the way that he does when he starts to land a lot. Gunny does occasionally get tired, which could absolutely be a problem if Barberena is still there in like round 3. Could get interesting, but I just have a hard time thinking that he will get there against a grappler like Gunny. He does not make smart decisions really in any grappling situations to me. And I even mean on the feet, like initial, clinches, things like that, and then on the mat as well. I think it's just going to go badly. I think Gunnar is too smart. I think he can sucker Barberena into something, and I will take him to win by rear naked choke in the second round.
Gunny. To me, this is a tricky fight to pick. They're stylistically, it's interesting because they're quite opposite. Gunnar Nelson is the ever stoic grappler. Brian Barberena is the in his own words, the blue collar brawler. Often tries to kind of create chaos in there. So, yeah, I agree with Mark. I think I like the calm veteran nature of Gunny Nelson. I don't know, man. I'm really on the fence with this one. Like, he just might not have the defenses to kind of keep Barberena off of him.
No Gunny result ever surprises me. Like, he can be so good.
Yeah.
And then it can just be like, his powers are gone. What happened?
Yeah. His powers are gone. And I'll say this about Nelson. He sometimes doesn't seem like the toughest guy. Like, if it doesn't go his way, he can get hurt kind of quickly and kind of easily, I feel. I'm going to go with Gunnar Nelson, though. I'm going to say in this one, he rolls back the clock a little bit. And, yeah, I think he's going to win on the ground. And I'll say he gets a choke in the third round. Okay, man. This is up there with one of the best co-mains I can remember.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is guaranteed violence.
Yep.
In the best way. Lightweight division, Justin Gaethje taking on Raphael Fiziev. So Gaethje, Justin, the highlight Gaethje, the 34-year-old out of Arizona. He's 23-4 as a pro with 19 knockouts on his record. He is coming off of a loss at the hands of Charles Oliveira. Gaethje, man, he's one of the greats already at lightweight, dude. He really is. Standing across from him will be another guy who's rising in the ranks. Raphael Fiziev, Ataman is his nickname, the 30-year-old out of Azerbaijan. 12-1 as a professional, 8 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Add 1 submission victory to that, which gives you a 75% win rate. And he's riding a 6-fight win streak coming into this weekend. So a tremendous and consequential matchup going down at lightweight. Mark, let me throw it over to you first. Give us your take and your pick of this lightweight matchup between Gaethje and Fiziev.
So I don't know what I thought the odds would be, but they are striking to me in that Raphael Fiziev is minus 230 as the favorite, and Justin Gaethje is a plus 190 dog.
Wow.
So it's just, kind of interesting to see the more established guy as the dog here, but I do get it. Gaethje will be 3 inches taller, but there's going to be a 1.5-inch reach advantage on the side of Fiziev, which is interesting. So, yeah, I love this fight. Justin Gaethje is unreal. He's an absolute fucking dog. He will push you to your physical limit. He has a chin for days. He only has 1 speed. I mean, the guy is the highlight for a reason. But the reason I am laying that all up to start is that I think he is going to get hurt in this fight. He gets hit. I don't think his technique is where Fiziev's is. I think Fiziev's accuracy is a problem. I think his speed is a problem. You could argue that Gaethje could always pull his wrestling out, which he never really has to, but maybe in a matchup like this it would make sense. However, we just saw Fiziev show some unreal takedown defense against RDA all fight long, so I don't even know if that's an option. I don't know if Gaethje's favorite weapon of his leg kicks is going to be as effective as usual against the guy with the kickboxing acumen and background of a Raphael Fiziev. And I just think he's going to end up getting hurt here. I give him big props for being the first guy in like that established top tier. We've talked about this before at lightweight to actually say yes to one of these dangerous up and coming dudes. Like I'm very excited to see a fight like this where it's like lightweight legend versus new lightweight killer. We haven't gotten as many of those as we should, but I just don't think his style is a style that gives all that much trouble to a striker the caliber of Raphael Fiziev. Like, if he finds a pressure game that really forces Fiziev to back up and have to react a lot, then I could see him pull it off. But if we're talking any kind of exchanging, I just favor Fiziev. I think we see varied damage on Gaethje, kicks to the legs, body shots, some clean head shots, and I just think it adds up and Gaethje goes down. I will say Raphael Fiziev, round 2 knockout.
Whew. Omar.
It's not bad, man. I mean, the Muay Thai on Fiziev's end is definitely more technical than Justin Gaethje's is. But I think Gaethje's got a smart team behind him. He's got, the low kicks that Gaethje has literally ruined people's legs in the middle of a fight. And Fiziev's going to need them. Maybe he's probably one of the few that are checked properly and all this other good stuff. But if Justin Gaethje does bring his wrestling out, that's a real problem for Fiziev if you can't keep him off of him. If not, though, I kind of agree. I think Fiziev puts on a clinic of sorts. I do think there'll be competitive moments, but I think all in all, I think the striking is going to make Justin Gaethje very uncomfortable. I don't think he ends up putting him out, but I do think he ends up taking the 3 rounds in a competitive fight, but a clear 3 rounds for Fiziev. Unanimous decision.
Wow. It just hit me that this is only 3 rounds. Man, my mind does this all the time. I see an amazing fight, and I just assume it's 5 rounds. Good thing I picked round 2, and I didn't sit here sounding like an idiot and be like, I'm going to say round 5 knockout. Oh, Jesus, that sucks. Why isn't this 5? It's fucking whack.
Yeah, this could be a main event. I'm going to go in the opposite direction as you guys. I'm going to say that Justin Gaethje has a y'all must have forgot performance and looks tremendous. The Trevor Whitman fighter always comes ready to fight. Ever since his loss to Dustin Poirier, I think he's a changed man. And he's only lost to the very, very, very best of the division.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see if Fiziev proves to be also at the upper echelon. But for now, I'm going to stick with Gaethje. I'm going to say that he turns in a vintage performance and hands Fiziev his worst loss of his career. I'm going to go with Gaethje by knockout. I'll say round 3.
I would be pumped to see it.
Me too.
Someone had to take Gaethje.
Somebody had to.
Dude, the only other person I can think of with Muay Thai in the UFC right now that technical to actual Muay Thai is Edson Barboza.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
He's the only other one I could think of that uses Muay Thai like actual Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Fiziev's Matrix shit is wild. But we're doing that in class. That shit is hell on your knees, number one. And that, like, going all the way back, yeah, your boy don't have that. My back doesn't do that.
All right, boys. It's main event time.
Boom.
Here we go. Leon Edwards taking on Kamaru Usman for the 3rd time. Just to set this up real quick. They fought somewhat recently, about 6-8 months ago. Well, I guess it's not that recent. It feels like it was last week. Man, it's stuck in my memory. I think that's why I feel that way. Leon Edwards, the 31-year-old out of England. He is 20-3 with 1 no contest, 7 knockouts, 3 subs, 10 decisions on his record. His last loss was to Kamaru Usman back in December of 2015. He has gone undefeated since then, with 1 no contest, 3 fights ago against Belal Muhammad, in which there was an accidental eye poke. Edwards poked Muhammad by accident, and the fight had to end. But he was winning that fight, I believe. And then he fought Nate Diaz in a funny fight, which we won't get into here. He walked away the winner by decision. And then he fought Usman in a rematch. Tried to avenge his loss. And he was getting worked for 4 rounds. And then in the 5th round...
Yeah, he won round 1.
For
Let's
3.
not forget that.
Okay, fine. But round 1 was close. He took him down in round 1.
I didn't think it was close at all.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Really?
That was all Leon. That was all Leon.
Well, then the tides turned very quickly.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
Usman was taking his lunch money for 3 rounds.
Yes.
Sure.
And anyway, I'll let you guys get into it a bit more. Ended by head kick in the 5th round. Tremendous stuff, man. Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, the 35-year-old, originally from Delray Beach, Florida. He is 20-2 as a pro with 9 knockouts, 10 decisions. Out of his 2 losses, the one most recently is only his 2nd loss. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that his first loss came very early in his pro career, and then he went on quite a tear as a pro, as well as to the UFC, undefeated in the UFC up to last August, and we're here, fight number 3, which, like I said earlier, really feels like a rematch. Mark, let me start it off with you. Give us that take. Give us that pick, baby.
Okay. The challenger, Kamaru Usman, is minus 250 as the favorite. Leon Edwards is a plus 200 dog. Here we go. We're doing it again. The trilogy. It's 1-1. I picked Leon Edwards last time. He fought the worst fight that I could have ever imagined him fighting, to the point that I was yelling at my TV, dumbfounded as to what he was doing, and he still won. And I'm picking him again. It seems like the whole world is on Usman. The whole world is pointing to the fact that Usman was winning all along last time, if not for this kick, and now Usman will win again. Obviously, as I just told you, he's a minus 250 favorite. I disagree. I think Leon's confidence will be in a much different place now. I think it helps him that he's at home. I think the crowd is going to be hugely behind him. I think he fights a much more aggressive and tactical fight the way I expected him to the first time. I said this in our recap of the last fight, but in that fight, Leon, like so many others, fell into the pattern of wilting to the pressure that Kamaru brings in there and being willing to back up. He let Kamaru dictate the space. He was willing to fight off his back foot with his back to the cage. And in doing that, he took away what makes him great. He closed his toolbox, if you will. And not to mention, I also think the elevation played a big role in that. If you remember that card, Leon looked a little bit off. Like, as soon as we got past the first round, it's the card where Rockhold and Costa looked so tired. Even Merab wasn't exactly Merab on that card. The only guy who looked like himself was Usman, who trains at elevation. And now we're on equal playing field here. So I think that could be a factor as well. But going back to that fight, I said this then, and again, it's a small sample size, but in round 5, as soon as Leon finally stopped backing up, as soon as he went for it, he started landing everything. Instead of conceding when Usman would throw, he would feint. He would throw something small, and he would step forward and retake the space instead of just continually backing up. And when he did that, the toolbox was open again. And for about a minute and a half before that kick, he was winning the fight. And he was finally making Usman think. He was making Usman react. And that's why he landed that kick. He was able to freeze Kamaru because his weapons are many. And if Kamaru has to think about Leon and react to Leon as opposed to the other way around, it's a different fight. And I have faith that we're going to see that from Leon this time. I think we see the full version of Leon. Maybe it's not another KO, but I think it is a better overall performance. I will say he wins it either 49-46 or more likely I'll say just a clear 48-47, not something that is controversial where he definitely gets 3 of these. But give me Leon Edwards to defend his belt in the UK by UD.
Wowza. Wow. Omar, you're up. Hit us.
Trying to think if there's a world where Leon Edwards knocks out Kamaru Usman again. I mean, it was a Hail Mary shot, the first one.
Oh, it sure was.
I don't think that happens the second time. But I thought the first round in that first fight was very telling. I think that it showed that Edwards was not afraid of what Kamaru Usman brings to the table, which I think a lot of people can be very intimidated after or during a fight with Kamaru, knowing what he brings in terms of the wrestling, control, ability to nullify somebody's game. I don't think Edwards played into that in the first round, but I do think, like Mark said, the elevation just might have cut him early. And I don't think he was the same fighter 2, 3, and 4. And I think we needed that speech in round 5, and even to start round 5, man, like, looked like he had to dig deep for everything else that he had, man, because, Kamaru didn't even look like he was really breathing hard. But he threw a beautiful cross. The story writes itself, like we said, but throws a cross, throws a kick right behind it, and just completely destroys Kamaru Usman. And while I don't think he catches him again, I do think the change in circumstance around that fight, including the elevation, having beaten him before now, being in home territory, all the things that kind of Mark already went over, I do think that is going to play a big factor overall. And I think some of these rounds will be competitive. I wouldn't even be surprised if they go back and forth, 1-1 and 1-1 until we get to the 5th round. But I do think that Leon leaves the victor. I think he wins 3 out of the 5 rounds, and I think we're going to be and still.
Wow. I can't believe both you guys are.
Did I sway you, or were you going that way from jump?
No, man. I've been thinking about Leon winning that fight for a minute now. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't really feel like... I don't really want to count Usman out.
Yeah, it feels
but
wild.
There's just something about the way Leon has been carrying himself that hasn't, for me, been over the top. Right? There are a lot of guys that, like, are almost like too much after they win something like this, where they're feeling themselves and they're almost overconfident and stuff like that. But I think Leon is still, while confident, measured. If anything, I think he knows now what he can do against Kamaru Usman with full faculties in front of him. So I think it's going to work for him, man. I do.
What you got, Mike?
Yeah, so I feel like what's interesting about this fight is that both of these guys could be coming in here with a lot of confidence, because Usman can be saying to himself, I was working this man and I was cruising to a win.
He has been saying it every chance he gets.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And Edwards can be saying, even though I was down in the cards, all I need is one moment of the fight and I can win. Because I have the skills and I have the striking skill and I have the power. Equally, I think both guys, forget about whatever they say in the media week, because of course they're going to talk a big game. They both can have a lot of apprehension, because Usman can say man, I fought such a great fight, but all it took was one moment where I kind of let my guard down a little too much and I got knocked out. And Edwards can say the opposite too, of fuck, I won, but I was getting my shit fucked up for 3 straight rounds. I think I would love to see Edwards win, but I think that I'm going to make the smart pick here, which I think is a smart pick, and I'm going to think that I think that Usman is going to bring in a very similar game plan, and he is going to be that much more cautious, and he's going to say, I just have to not get caught. I have to avoid that bomb. He has to take a page out of John Jones' playbook and say, I need to be really good at avoiding that bomb. And I think he's going to sail to a UD victory and get his belt back. And I think that it would be kind of interesting if we can find an angle where we can get fight number 4, kind of a la Moreno and Figueiredo. Do you think that's possible? If it's a close fight, if this third fight is a close fight, with the state of the elite upper echelon of welterweight, do you think it's possible to line up fight number 4?
Something would need to happen. It would need to be a draw or something. I don't think winning or losing at this point is going to make it an immediate rematch. I think something crazy would need to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it would ever be immediate. Now, obviously if Leon wins, that's the end of it. If Usman wins and then defends against, whoever you want to say, Bilal, and Leon fights Colby and beats him, then maybe I could see it happen again. But I don't think immediate.
Okay.
I know Dariush has a fight lined up, I'm pretty sure, but you still didn't even say Dariush for the next title shot.
He's a lightweight, dude. We're talking about welterweight.
Oh, that's right. It's the end of the night.
It's the
end of the night.
All right.
I just realized that Omar and I had these same 6 picks on this card, and you, Mike, are on Delice, Gaethje, and Usman. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I could score some major points if I'm right about those 3.
You could. Interesting. All right. Is there any trivia tonight?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Quick trivia, and we'll get out of here. Daddy's got to go to bed.
Facts.
Okay, last August.
Omar, you have great timing on your facts.
What's that? What did he say?
When Omar drops facts. So it's always perfect timing.
Yeah, man. Last August, UFC 278, Kamaru Usman was on his way not only to defending his UFC welterweight championship, but was about a minute away from tying Anderson Silva for all-time most consecutive UFC wins with 16 consecutive wins. But what happened, and Usman now stands alone at second place all-time for most consecutive UFC wins with 15. And he is also the sole owner for most consecutive UFC wins in the welterweight division with 15. While you may be able to easily guess who has the most consecutive wins in other divisions, such as, light heavyweight or middleweight, or flyweight? Tell me who holds the record for most consecutive UFC wins at heavyweight.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit us with lightweight. Heavyweight.
Is it A, Junior Dos Santos, B, Cain Velasquez, C, Randy Couture, or D, Shane Carwin?
Damn, Derek Lewis ain't even on there. That's rough.
You know,
I was just thinking of the fact that he was dropping motherfuckers left and right. I don't know how many wins
he would have been good. He would have been good.
Shane Carwin's inclusion is making me think it's Shane Carwin. Because if it's not, that is a random choice.
Lewis would have been a good distraction pick as well. It's clearly not him, so.
Man, Shane Carwin was such a beast. Talk about a name that just, like, dissolved into the past. Like, he is never brought up, and he was a fucking beast.
Because you want to talk about a guy that left way too early. I mean, for the sport and the accolades, but to be honest, man, in order to save any future of mobility in his body, he needed to leave because his neck was destroyed.
Yeah, and wasn't he older already? Didn't he kind of start when he was older? Or
he was in his mid-30s, I thought, or close to...
Which I guess heavyweight is, yeah. Yeah. Dude, I just remember his hands. His hands were so fucking big. He was a beast.
I think his hands were bigger than Lesnar's.
Were they? And Lesnar's are huge.
Either they were the same size, which is also fucking ridiculous, or they were bigger.
That whole fight between the two of them was nuts.
Yeah.
I wonder how often Shane Carwin kicks himself about that fight.
Oof.
He was just right there, bro. You had it. You had it.
He did.
All right. Was Junior a choice? Is that who you said?
JDS was
Junior,
the first choice.
Cain,
Randy.
Carwin, and Randy Couture. Okay. It's tricky because it's not consecutive wins as champ. It's just period, right?
Consecutive UFC wins in the heavyweight division.
JDS was messing people up too, dog.
That's who I'm gonna say.
It's just after the Cain fight, he was never the same after those fights.
And that's why you're saying JDS?
I just remember him knocking everybody out up until that point. I just can't for the life of me remember how many people that was.
The question is really just like who had more fights in their run to the title.
Totally.
Who did it take longer to get to that point?
So Omar says Junior? Mark?
That's who I said.
The answer is A, Junior Dos Santos. Very good, guys. Very good. I thought this was going to stump you.
It was tough. I could have easily got that wrong.
Rapid fire. Guess who has the most consecutive wins at light heavyweight?
John Jones.
Of course. Middleweight,
all right.
I already said, is Anderson. Interestingly, because Anderson took a few fights at light heavy, his record at middleweight is 13 consecutive fights. But overall, he has most overall with 16.
Interesting.
Kamaru is 15 at welterweight. Okay, lightweight.
What is John's number of consecutive?
13.
Yeah, which is such a shame because he'd be inversed if not for
yes, you're absolutely right.
Animal.
Okay, I'm going to skip lightweight. Real quick, featherweight. Who do you think is featherweight?
Ooh, that's actually interesting.
Consecutive. It's got to be Conor.
No, it's not Conor. Conor had like 3 fights.
Yeah, dude, it's not Conor.
Dude, all the way up from the Brimish fight. And we're just talking about regular fights.
Okay, I'll give you the number. The number is 13 consecutive fights, wins.
Well, all right. Now, that's a different fucking...
I'm trying to think
different
how long
information.
Volk has been in this division. Obviously, I thought about Aldo and Max, but has Volk already had more fights? I don't know how many he's fucking had.
Featherweight division, I feel like, hasn't even been around that long.
And Aldo's, like, obviously the beginning of his run was WEC. We're not counting. It's not Zuffa question. Straight UFC, right?
Yes. That's what the thing said.
Is it possible that Volk has already been here for 13 fights? No. Right? But Max didn't win 13 fights in a row.
Gun to your head.
Volk.
Omar.
I might die. The gun might go off.
Are we still recording?
I guess I'll go Volk.
It's Max, guys. It's Max.
Max
really?
won 13 in a row?
He did.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew
So he
would be
lost to
close.
McGregor. So he lost to McGregor and then just didn't lose again until forever later.
I think so, dude.
If that's what it has to be, because that's exactly
What's his
what I
next
was
loss?
thinking in my head.
What's his next
I
loss?
was
Poirier?
thinking- I was thinking, did he never lose again? Oh, it's because Poirier was at lightweight. Is that what's fucking with our heads?
Possibly.
Maybe.
But yeah, he never lost again after Conor. I just pulled it up until Poirier at lightweight, and then lost
Okay.
to Volk.
Real quick, because I
All
do
right,
want to
Volk
get out of
had
here. But
12
this is cool.
though. I was close. Volk has 12.
Wow. He's right there.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. Women's strawweight, you can guess.
Women's strawweight.
Is that Joanna? Or was that?
Yes.
That was Joanna, right?
It's
Right.
Joanna.
That's what I would have said. I had to think for a second.
Women's
Yes.
flyweight, you could probably guess.
Shevchenko, I would
Yes.
Shevchenko. Yeah.
Women's bantamweight, you can guess.
Nunez.
Nunes.
Featherweight could be.
It was. It could have been
Was it
Ronda.
Nunez? Yeah, I was gonna say it could have been Ronda. I think I would have
No.
said Nunez still though.
I think,
But it
Nunez
gets tricky
faster now.
because featherweight fights and shit.
I'll just tell you, women's featherweight is a tie between Nunez and Cyborg with 3.
Ah,
Yeah.
I thought we had our girl Norma Dumont up in there, dog. I thought she had one.
She
Damn
might, who
it.
knows? She fucking might be.
Damn it.
When it's all said and done, Norma Dumont might hold the record for most consecutive women's flyweight wins. Bantamweight is interesting because it is a tie between teammates. That
was a big clue you just gave us.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to say it or?
Oh, you're gonna tell us? We guessed all the other ones, shouldn't we?
You can guess it. Go ahead.
That
Tie
was a
between
big clue.
teammates, both active.
Tie between teammates. Current teammates or ex-teammates?
Current.
I know
Is it
you were saying-
Merab and Aljo?
Yes.
It
Boom.
Tied. Both with 8 consecutive wins.
Aljo has won 8 consecutive fights?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. The last fight he lost was goddamn Marlon.
I
Yeah.
didn't feel like it was that many already. Jeez.
Okay, last one. Lightweight is also a tie. Can you guess the 2?
Lightweight is fucking hard.
I didn't think I was going to do this, but this is cool.
as all hell, man.
Yeah.
I had to pull up Aljo's record to see. I can't believe it's been that many fights already since that loss.
All-time consecutive wins.
At 155 pounds, consecutive wins at lightweight. Tied.
Can we know the number?
Yeah, sure. It's 12.
Fucking hell. Khabib?
Yeah, that's
Khabib is one of them.
That's one of
the
them.
easy. That's the easy pick because
Yeah.
he's fucking undefeated.
right.
Although he was, I feel like he wasn't in the UFC forever.
No, but I figured one had to be him. I mean, you at least have to guess him. He's like the obvious
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
But who would be tied?
BJ Penn.
That's a good guess, but no.
Yeah,
God damn it.
I didn't think it was him because he he would have welterweight fights, and I didn't think he had enough lightweight fights to hit that number without losing. I'm trying to think if it's a random like Jim Miller's early
No,
come up or
it's not Jim
something.
Miller.
I know it's not Jim Miller. I know he never won 12 in a row, but I'm saying like someone of that type of ilk. Because no one else is popping into my head. Frankie certainly didn't win 12 in a row.
What about Jens Pulver?
It is not Jens Pulver.
No.
No, this is a hard question. Don't tell us. Give me a second. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
that second one's a bitch right there.
Charles has not won 12 in a row. Islam, could he have fought 12 times since the Martins loss?
Maybe.
I wonder what Islam is, actually. I do wonder, but it's not him.
Well, you're not supposed to tell us. You're supposed to let us guess.
Sorry.
But I wouldn't have thought it was 12 times. 12 is too many. Who the fuck else would this be?
He's 12-1 in the UFC in general, so.
Okay. It's not. It's obviously not Eddie. I don't know why I was even going to say that. It's not Poirier. It's not Gaethje. It's Not Maynard. Not Cowboy. Not Nate. Who the fuck am I forgetting right now? I'm going to be so mad when I hear this answer. All right, give us one more minute, and then you tell us because we got to get out of here. Omar, do you have any thought?
Dude, I don't know, man. I've run out of guys.
I just thought of Sean Shirk. Could it be Sean Shirk?
Oh my God, what a throwback!
That might be my guess because no one else is coming to my head. I'll say Sean Shirk.
I got nothing. Go for it.
It is Tony Ferguson.
Ah, yeah. Oh, man. And we even had the fucking Khabib clue sitting there to think of Tony and the run they were on side by side, and we don't fucking get it. Oh, that's disappointing. Viewers, I know the viewers are disappointed in us right now.
We're just tiramisu garbage right now.
I'm also staring at it right now. Oh, maybe they're not counting Makhachev because his fight against Bobby Green was at a catch weight of 160. Because he has 12 consecutive wins. He's
Sean
sitting
Shirk
right
was
now.
A terrible guess, by the way. Guy had like 8 UFC fights.
Adriano Martins was his first fight in the UFC that he lost. That was his debut.
It was his second fight. But since Martins, he has gone 12-0 since Martins. But his Bobby Green fight was at a catch weight, so I wonder if that's why he's not on the list.
Yeah, Volk was 12. That's true. That's a stupid technicality, though, because they're both lightweights.
I know. We'll see. Well, we're not going to see, but who knows? All right, let's get out of here. Show's over, folks. Wrap it up. Go home.
Let's.
Enjoy the fights this weekend, folks. Once again, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for growing with us. And once again, one more time, if you like any of our takes, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think of the show. And if you disagree, let's hear it. Keep it classy. Thanks. Enjoy the fights. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.